so fast, and I don't wanna take you traveling the world, but I can love you. Yeah, I'm gonna love you. I'll give you all of what I've got. The fancy finds, baby, I have not. Just gonna love you. Yeah, I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna love you, baby. Cross my heart and hope to die.
Hello, welcome along. Welcome to another big weekend of live cyclo-cross action here on GCN Racing. We are in Kruibeke today in East Flanders for the next round of the Ethias Cross series. Thanks for your company. Welcome along. Don't forget, if you want to get involved, you can do so on your chat forum on both YouTube and Facebook as well. Jeremy Powers will be with me. We can take your questions throughout the show today. But before we get into today's action, let's remind ourselves of the Ethias series so far. That's the way things have been so far. Mount captains and Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, the winners of the opening two rounds. So the Ethias series, unlike others, it doesn't carry a general classification. Now, Jeremy Powers is with me, and he is over there in the USA. It is quite early for you, Jeremy. Let's say that. Welcome along. How are you today?
Thank you for having me. The sun is shining here in Massachusetts, and it's a beautiful day.
Right, before we get into the racing today, let's have a look at the provisional. Let's have a look at the start list of the riders that we're looking at today. Sana Kant is here. Anna-Marie Hurst. Got some really big names in here today, haven't we, Jeremy?
Yeah, this is going to be a good, proper throwdown. Yeah, Sana Kant, Anne-Marie. Losels, Caitlin Keough from the United States, obviously Alvarado, and yeah, just going on down Arzufi, Ellen Van Looy, Maud Kapteins, Jar Kasterlein. Yeah, it's going to be that top 10 is stacked.
I'm looking as well. We've got the Ava Lechner coming in as well from the Krefin TUV Sud team. We also have Talita de Jong as well on the start list today. And a lot of people excited to see the return of Talita de Jong and the former world champion. It's been a really, really tough last couple of years for her.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you've got something going on, it's hard to come back. Any injury, any type of really any setback for an athlete. It's sometimes we joke, like, no matter what the setback is, you have a setback and then the job is to overcome it. You know what I mean? It's like anything that happens, even if you're out of the sport just for a little bit, right? Like you've decided to do road racing, coming back in. If you're not doing something every day, then trying to climb that ladder to come back to the top is always really hard. But that's the beauty of sport, right? We go out there, we push ourselves 100% to get back to that top level.
Yeah, I mean, she had almost a year out. It just seemed like injury after illness on top of those. Let's talk about a couple of riders that are really, one rider in particular that's really on fire coming into this season, and that's Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. We saw her taking a victory there last week, but the progress of Celine it's been steady year on year, and last year was a breakthrough year. We saw her take that win in Brussels, but she looks absolutely superb so far this year.
Yeah, she does. She looks like, just right here in this picture, looking at her on the bike, she looks like she's matured. She's worked on her position a little bit. She looks very confident in the way that she's riding the front of the race. She's putting a lot of the riders under pressure, and it's good to see. From working with junior riders and stuff like that over the years, you never know how much a rider is going to grow from one year to the next.
And in terms of that Corendon Circus team, how much of a difference could that be making to her as well, from just being able to ride with the likes of Mathieu van der Poel and real technical geniuses like Tom Meyerson as well?
Wow, I mean, team makes everything. Team makes such a big difference every time you show up to a race. Every time you need something, there's always a new opportunity. And the riders always are brought up by the amount of staff or the amount of resources that they have going into an event. At a muddy race, the amount of the team that you ride for, and I don't know, just the general vibe of having a lot of really good riders within the program, I think adds a level of confidence that you don't get if you're a privateer. You don't have anyone else to kind of work off of.
And that's kind of where she started. When we first saw her, she was a privateer, and she's originally from the Dominican Republic. So, she came to the Netherlands, discovered cyclo-cross. And I think that's what I love about our sport, and what we see year on year is just seeing those riders breaking through. And another rider, I remember, I've been commentating cross for a long time. I remember commentating a lot of new racing as well. But Sana Kant, the world champion, last week, just looks like she's sort of maybe just trying to find her groove a little bit. And that happens, doesn't it, when you come into a new season?
Yeah, it's been interesting with Sana Kant. It's over the years. I mean, we've been watching for a long time. I've always kind of remembered that Sana has a bit of a hard time in the first half of the season. She's got a bit of a she's just come in slower. Sorry, and it's been a little bit tougher. So.
Technical geniuses like Tom. Yeah, so we just saw there, just maybe again, just losing her, that those little toe, catching your toe on the steps and those kind of things. Because, as you said, we were chatting a little bit before we came on air. Sana, she races a little bit on the road, but she doesn't have like a busy road season like other riders. And those objectives for her, they come a little bit later on in the season. You've only got to look over the last few years from Sana Kant to see how much once she finds that groove, she tends to stay in it.
Yeah. I think that her goal is going to be the World Championships, February. Right now we're not anywhere near February. This is the first race, really first couple of races of her season. She's historically come in a little bit slow. Yeah, we saw there she has some bobbles, she has some problems. I don't think it's something that we need to worry about. Although obviously as world champion, she's got the magnifying glass on her. She's being thought of as like, this is the person that we all need to get to her level because she's the best in the world. So the camera is always following her. She can't even take a sneeze without the camera in Belgium knowing what she's done. So I think, we're highlighting some of her, small little tiny errors as the world champion. But the truth is that I think we have to give her a couple more weeks to get warmed up, probably 3-4 weeks for a rider to come to full, where their full level is going to be for the year. And it's tough. Like cyclocross is so explosive. So to not have that explosivity and to not be able to have the racing in your legs straight away. I think that's what we're seeing.
Now, the Polderscross, as it's called here in Kruibeke, they used it this year, beginning of this year. They used it for the Belgian National Championships, which Sana Kant won. She won it back in 2014. I couldn't find a women's race, elite women's race in 2015, but Jolien Verschuren had won it as well. Katie Compton has won this race, but at beginning of the year in the Belgian Nationals, it was an absolute mudfest with this course. But again, lots of off-camber banks and things on this sort of circuit.
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching that epic battle last year, I believe, for the Belgian championships. And this is a race that we covered a long time ago when I was doing coverage before, and I believe Wout van Aert won. Long story short is that this is a race that I think we expect today to be muddy, although I haven't seen the track or any highlights yet. Today is supposed to be muddy, and tomorrow is supposed to be quite sandy. So two totally different tracks on the weekend for the Belgian crossers. And as you can see, it looks like it's a pretty compact track, and it's going to be probably good for spectators that are out there on the course.
Yeah, I had some messaging from Helen Wyman just literally before we came on air. She said there has been some mud. It's pretty tacky today, she said, in terms of the way things are riding. She made quite interesting. She said it's a Greffo day in terms of tire choice, and that's always key. It's always something we, especially us as amateur riders, are always wondering about what sort of tire day it is for the pro riders.
Yeah, she's talking like a true crosser. My mechanics would always get over to the race at, like, let's say they'd get over there at 9 a.m. and then I wouldn't get over there until closer to noon, 11. They would always tell me what type of tire the day was going to be, just based on the conditions that they would see there at the course. So yeah, throwing around tire selection choices is as proper cyclocross season.
It's something you always wonder about when you see riders and their mechanics. Are your mechanics in cyclocross almost like caddies in golf, that they've got that much experience, especially a lot of the Belgian mechanics and things that have been around so long, that they'll give you that? It's almost like coming up and you go, yeah, you need a 7-iron for this shot.
Honestly, yes, that's a really funny thing to way to put it, Marty. Yeah, I think it's when I would get to the races, they would have the pressure, the suggested pressure. They would tell me the suggested pressure. They'd put it on the whiteboard. It's a dry erase board. They would have the bikes pretty much ready to go, and they'd have like an idea of how much stuff they would have to put out. Like, were they going to put the chairs out front so that we could get some sun on, or was it going to have like the drapes so that we would stay warm inside the tent? They always had a kind of a rhythm and a routine that we would go down to. So it's good to see the riders there at the start line in shorts. So that means that it's not super cold out today.
No, and as soon as we'll go picture in picture soon. We'll go right down to the start line. But we saw kind of a contrast there between the tyre choice of Alice Arzoufi and the tyre choice of Annemarie Hurst alongside her.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I bet, somewhere in these middle days, some of the riders, I don't know how to really explain it, but some of the riders like to have a tire that they can turn more aggressively with, whereas some riders like to lean and move with the bike more and just kind of float and kind of just come across the turns and use the track more to their advantage. So it's really personal preference. The mud tires, as we've talked about many times on the live calls, tend to be a little bit slower. So if the rider's got a big motor and a little less technical skill, typically they go for that bigger mud tire. Whereas someone that's got a little bit more finesse and has ridden cyclocross for a really long time, they traditionally like that more diamond, like that traditional diamond pattern tread.
Yeah, you can see as well the temperature today, about 18 degrees Celsius. It's pretty windy for the riders blowing across the course. See the big bridge in the background as well. Riders are right down on the start line. You can see already, just watching those lights, just going through the last warm-up. Sophie de Boer here for Park Hotel of Valkenburg. So again, another rider who's had a tough couple of seasons. Ellen van Looy right alongside her. So if you've been with us this year on GCN Racing for the road, you'll recognise those Park Hotel Valkenburg colours. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado here. And you can see there the European champions bike. Beth Crumpton is right behind her. So she's got a good start position. Sana Kant, you can see, has gone with the mirrored glasses today. There's Anna Kay in the pink and white right behind her. Yara Castelline there in the red for 777. Her teammate here, Annemarie Hurst, right alongside her. Alice Arzoufi, the Italian, and there we go. There's the difference I was saying in the tyre choice. She's going for the bobbles down the middle. It's a brave one. And Katie Keogh. I'm excited to see how Katie goes today.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, obviously being from the United States, and then we've got Eva Lechner there coming in, wearing that tricolor from Italy. So yeah, you were right, a big difference in the tire treads that we saw here today, Marty. As we get ready for the start, everyone is in the position, ready to go.
Poised and ready. Alice Zufi in that reds. Katie Kier alongside her, and we are off and racing. Sana Kant down the centre. Oh, a bit of a coming together at the back. Unfortunately, Talita de Jong, number 14, one of those riders that looks like they've had a problem right at the beginning, so not what she would want. Really solid, fast start here, and you can see these big off-camber sections. It really is these big banks that the riders have to tackle today. As we said, for the Belgian nationals at the beginning of the year, it was an absolute quagmire. Real track to pull mud, as Meredith Miller would describe it. So it was Tessa Zvarnapool and Talita de Jong that came together on the start line, but it's Sana Kant, Anna-Marie Worst, Ava Lechner, Katie Kier gets caught on the inside. Del Carmen Alvarado, Anna Kay, and Yara Castelline leading off. Sophie de Boer just trying to move up. Not the start for Talita de Jong. What a shame there, Jeremy.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, but you know, she's got a lot of depth in the sport. She's world, she's just had such great results over her career. I feel like a small setback at the start of a first race back, is not going to be the end of her day. She's going to be able to mentally come back from that. And I feel like she's it almost takes a little pressure off, It takes a little bit of pressure off to be able to just say, you know what, I have a clean started the race now, full shot.
So there you have it. There's a replay of the start. Yes, Varnapool there, just alongside her, just gets shoved to the side there.
Whoa.
So gets shoved by Monique van der Rey, and that's what took her down. Just a bit of a bump of the coming together. And that was a replay of that. But yeah, Talita de Jong, she can maybe just ride her way through now and just see how far up the field that she can actually get here. So
she can start just put her on the ground. That was crazy to see that at the start. That was really crazy to see that hand. I'm not sure what happened before that led to that, but yeah, always interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, Kant, Verst, Kay, Van Looy, Lechner, Zufi, Keo is the next rider there. Alicia Frank there, wearing number 15. That's your rundown at the moment. This is Talita de Jong in the bottom of your picture. And Kim van der Steener getting herself up there as well. But Sana Kant leading out here. And out of this section, Anna Kay just gets thrown to the side. Helen also said that it's getting quite rutted out there. And these are really pretty hefty bridges that we have in this one, Jeremy.
Yeah, flat course in Belgium, they'll find a way to make a hill. As you see this front group starting to form. It's they know how to use these bridges to really create a more challenging track. And I just wanted to mention that as I see here, it's Sana Kant, we're only into the first 3 minutes of the race, but it is interesting for me to be able to see her sort of taking this race by command at such a strong start. You can see that she's coming back, as it looks like they're going to come into a bit of a sand pit here. Just trying to take this race by the horns right away.
You can see out of that corner into that deep sand. Anna Kay just has to dab the foot just slightly. Del Carmen Alvarado, and that's just given a bit of an advantage now. Anna Kay now revving out of that one. So the British rider, Van der Steener, off she gets. And Del Carmen Alvarado has to do the same, decides to remount. But that just hands a bit of an advantage to Anna-Marie Worst and Sana Kant at the front. So good to see Karen Verheestraten there, number 21, getting up there. There's Sophie de Boer just behind her. Elodie Kuiper is going through. There's Beth Crumpton wearing number 12 here. So again, a few riders just a little bit further down here, just trying to find their groove a little bit. And it's Monique van der Rey again, just digging that shoulder in just a little bit to that one. Let's see where Talita de Jong is. I think they're staying with this one just to try and see where de Jong is. But back to the head of the race. Sana Kant and Anna-Marie Worst. Anna Kay has found her way back there. Got to say, Jeremy, great power by Anna Kay there. Came out of that corner, got gapped very slightly. You just saw her really get on top of the revs and find her way back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just she's got great. Was able to see her race in the United States, and yeah, I was impressed. I can't say that I saw her a lot in the coverage last year, consistently in the front, but this is a great ride for her to take this first lap, third place here coming in.
So Anna Kay, the British rider, she was third in round one in Eclo. This course, again, you would say suits Anna Kay. She's a phenomenal climber. Ava Lechner attacks that climb, though. Yara Castelline, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, and Ellen Van Looy back to the head of the race, though. Anna-Marie Horst, and someone you caught up with quite recently, Jeremy.
Yeah, exactly. We're looking forward to getting that feature out to you guys. That will be coming soon, but it's a bit of a bio piece on Anne Murray. Actually, it's Anna Marie. She was able to remind me that it's more of there's an A at the end of her name is how she pronounces it. So yeah, and yeah, I exchanged a couple of messages with her on WhatsApp this week. And she was saying that she was ill last week. Not that took anything away from her racing necessarily, but that she was feeling a lot better coming into this weekend's races. And I have to say, it looks like she's doing quite well at the moment.
She is indeed. You saw Ava Lechner again just dropping down. Ava Lechner really attacking this course. The Italian national champion. You can see that she just, again, on these off-camber sections. There's your, and Katie Keogh and Anna Kay. Woohoo!
Nice.
Anna Kay bunny hopping the barriers. Helen Wyman said last week that she told Anna to bunny hop them. That's the first time we've seen her do that. You just saw there as well. Let's have a look at that. Anna Kay takes the first one. Nice correction as well. Hats off to Anna Kay for that. She's been working hard on that all summer, and that'll just give her, that'll help settle her nerves in terms of bunny hopping those planks, won't it, Jeremy?
Yeah, man, that was great to see. I love seeing that. I've said that before. It's just awesome to see the riders when they're able to do that in a race, in a race scenario where it's like so hard. You've got no blood in your arms. You've got the pressure. The cameras are on you, and then yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone's crashed the barrier. So to see her, do that pretty clean, and be able to correct there, like you said, kind of get straightened up, get over those barriers. It takes a lot of practice to be able to do that in a race scenario. So props to Anna Kay. That was super cool to see.
Yeah, great. That's the first time we've seen her doing it. We've seen her wheeling and bunny hopping all summer, so good to see her doing it in a race. Thanks a few of you. Just give you a few shout-outs. Anna-Marie Hoyer settling in to her advantage here, the European champion for 777. William Sharratt, thanks for checking in from Vancouver. Andy Peter from Solihull. Oren Peleg as well, thanks for saying hi. Andy Bell. Giulio Vallarino from Italy. So you've got Ava Lechner in there. Olivia Chipchase from Spain. Thanks for saying hi as well. Timothy Turin, just checking in over there as well. Mauro Weber, another fan from Italy, and Chris Raffa watching from Toulouse. End of lap one for Anna-Marie Horst. Goes through there, so 7:39. Sana Kant is your next placed rider. So Kant and then Kay. So Kant goes through. So 13 seconds is the gap back to Sana Kant. Then the group now that seems to be coming back a little bit to Anna Kay, Yara Castelline, Ava Lechner, Alvarado, Keogh is here. Van Looy is the next rider through. Alice Arzufi coming up next. Arzufi, so the Italians riding well here. Kim van der Steener comes through next with Alicia Frank. Horst just taking these big banks in a stride as well. Again, it shows what you could do here with the side of a hill here, Jeremy. Just these off-camber sections. You just see riders, choosing the line, dropping down through these sort of, finding that line down through these sections.
Yeah, we had a section like this that was similar to the World Cup in Iowa City, where they would do these big kind of this long, left hand, right hand drop scenarios, and it was it does push the riders a lot, and it really, I think the thing about this in cyclocross, Marty, is that it changes your tempo. You're going fast, and then you have to slow down, and then you have to accelerate again and get back up to speed. So it's always about the speed changes. It's always about it's cyclocross. It's what they've been pushed to do, as we see Anna-Marie Worst here really pushing through one of these muddy bogs that's out on the course. So I'm so surprised by the difference in conditions here. You've got these maybe sharp, dry off cambers, but then you've got this like lower section that's super muddy. So maybe some of the riders, like we saw at the start line, have opted for a slick tire, where they decided, like, you know what, we're going to end up running this section anyway, and the rest of the course is fine for semi-slick. Whereas some of the riders are like, I actually really want to ride this section, and I know I'm going to be able to get back on my bike, so I'm going to go for a more intermediate or a heavy tire. As we see Barcia Wellens coming in on the bottom corner of that screen, I can only imagine what he's saying.
Bart Wellens, the team manager of the 777 team, what a start to the year as well, with the likes of Annemarie Hurst. And there's Yara Castelline. Castelline had a great week last week as well. It just seems like this group is just gradually pegging back Annemarie Hurst. And little question as well from RAF Tornado. What type of material do they use on the flyovers?
Yeah, it's metal. It's some type of scaffolding, I believe would be the word we would use in the United States. I'm not sure exactly what you guys would call it, but it's, it's these pieces of metal that can be put together to create stairs and temporary a way for like construction workers to be able to temporarily access an area, or to be able to perhaps go over a road, like in a cyclo-cross race in Belgium. So yeah, they've built some pretty fancy things with these over the years in Belgium.
We just saw Jolien Verschuren going through there as well. Jolien, winner of this race back in 2016. And again, just finding her way back into racing as well, recovering from a brain tumor. As we said, that's definitely our feel-good one of the season. Is Annemarie Hurst? I think we've got our audio on that one.
Ik heb weer een goede week gehad, zeg maar. Vergeleken met de week voor Meulenweken. Dus ik ben benieuwd. Ik heb er weer zin in. Het parcours ligt super leuk bij. Een heel leuk rondje. En we gaan het zien.
Vorige week tweede, heel dicht bij die winst. Gaat het vandaag wel de juiste zijn op een parcours als dit?
Je weet nooit, maar ik hoop het wel. Het zou mooi zijn.
Het gevoel zit wel goed.
Ja, zeker. Dat wel.
Veel succes vandaag, Annemarie Hurst.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, I am working on my Flemish this winter.
Okay, let's hear it, Marty. What did you think?
My goal, by the end of the winter, I will try to make sure I could at least try and translate a lot of the some of the interviews. I understand a lot, but sometimes in the real-time translation. So I have found some YouTube channels that can teach you Flemish, and also some good friends over in Flanders are sending me some books. So I'll do my best on those. Greg Boyd checking in from Australia. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for checking in. You're ahead of the race. Annemarie Hurst from 777, the European champion. As Jeremy said, he was chatting to her last week. She had a bit of sickness last week, and in Meulenbeke, she was second to Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. It was a great sprint. Your chasing group: Sana Kant, Yara Castelline, and Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. That is your order. Then Anna Kay comes through next. So Anna Kay on these climbs, Castelline just a little dab there. Lechner really attacking this one. So the Italian national champion in that tricolor jersey. Katie Keogh's making good, solid progress here, Jeremy.
Yeah, fantastic to see her racing over there in Europe. I know that Stu Thorne, who is the team owner and the boss, I was over there in the pits with her for this weekend's racing. I'm not sure exactly how long he's going to be there, but he'll be in the pits this weekend and next. I'm sure that's giving her a lot of motivation to have get such good hands over there racing in Europe. And, this is a new opportunity for her. She's been racing for a really long time. And she's made the move to Europe full time, which is something that only a few riders from, or really from outside of Europe have ever done. So to see her, take that on, to say, hey, I'm going to move over to Europe full time and do my entire season in the series races and really tackle this head on. Yeah, it's for me personally, it's really cool to see, and I'm sure that she's just, I'm sure it's added a bit of. There we go, Anna Kay jumping the barriers again, clean this time. I was just going to finish that off. It's just great to see her kind of take that on and bring some new motivation into her season.
Smooth. You could see the nerves have settled there for Anna Kay. So good to see, and that will come with time. and because it answers a question by Mark Bateman. So it's a good point. He said, did she actually gain any time bunny hopping? But you saw the first time there was that, okay, I'm going to do this time. And there you saw it, nice and clean, nice and smooth. And you can see as the riders go in here for bike changes, Anna, wearing number 11 there in the pink and white, you can see that time she is starting to gain time here.
Yeah, you can see she's just got the technique down. The first time she was really, I think she was just a little bit nervous to do it, but this time she got it really clean. So she's definitely been practicing up. It's no problem. And now, like you said, now that first time is in the books, now we'll be able to see, hopefully, a lot more hopping from Anna Kay.
Because it you know, it's not... We saw it last week with Lars van der Haar and Elise a bit. You know, you're bunny hopping the barriers for the first time on global TV as well. That's the kind of pressure that you've got. Annemarie Huers goes through 15:18 that you've got there for Annemarie Huers. You can see the clock is ticking. And we'll see that they went through last time. It was 13 seconds to Sana Kant. That group have come back to her. So lap 3 of 6 we are on here. So at the end of that one, so we're going into lap 3 of 6. Now this gap really growing out. Anna Kay leading Katie Keogh for Cannondale. Cyclo-cross-world.com. So the American now comes through towards the front. From that start, steady progress through that group. Castelline goes through 37 seconds. Back to this group, then Alvarado, Lechner, Arzufi, and Sana Kant just dropping out to the back of that group now. Ellen Van Looy is your next rider that's going to come through. Kim van der Steener now coming around that corner for Tartaletto Isarex. So again, another rider had a great start to last season, won races such as the Koppenberg Cross, then had a little bit of fatigue in things as the season progressed, but straight away, real strong, powerful start here by Annemarie Huers. She's got that clean track ahead of her now, Jeremy. When you're out in this position, you know, just take us through. You know, you can just concentrate on your ride, pick your lines through all the sections.
Yeah, she's got a clear track in front of her, and you know, watching that interview, like you said, Marty, I don't speak like full Dutch or Flemish, but I do understand quite a bit of it from being over there for the years. And there's one thing that you don't even have to be able to speak the language to know, and that she was very chipper and looked like she was really excited about racing here today. She looked like she had good sensations, as the Belgians would say when you're over there. You have good sensations today, Jeremy, and you'd be like, yes, I do. So yeah, it was nice to see her smiling at the start. She looks like she's obviously on a really good tear of form, and she's got a lot of the course just lined out in front of her. Sorry, there's someone coming in the bottom here who I'm not sure exactly who that is.
Checks in regularly. I've just as well, Mark, Daniel Lashka just reminding me as well. I'm sorry that I just insulted the whole of the Netherlands. Of course, Annemarie Huers speaks Dutch, not Flemish. So Flemish as a different pronunciation. So apologies to Daniel for if I've insulted the entire population of the Netherlands. It's of course Annemarie Huers speaks Dutch. Apologies for that one. So thank you all of you for saying hi. Sana Kant again. Good fast start here, Jeremy. And again, we see her do this. As we see Sana Kant in this position. We can't panic for the world champion. She gets that start. She rides her race, and you can see again the progress as well that a lot of other riders have made coming into this season.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just interesting to watch riders, like looking at Sana Kant right now. She's just been able to come up like week after week. She's improving. Now she's in that second group. She's gone for 20 minutes, which is just about half the race. She's in this chase group, and she's just come up. Her level is just coming up. So some riders, they really do need the dedicated racing to be able to build that into their training to be able to grow. Younger riders are going to grow from season to season. You think about it, if you race for 10 years, you're 10 years older. It's not just one season to the next. I mean, you grow as a human being as well, not just as a bike rider when you're a pro athlete. So watching the progress, watching the continuing evolution of each of these riders, now being on the other side of tape is it's a lot of fun for me, because it definitely allows me to see these riders week in and week out, where when you're out there on the course, you just racing the people that are in front of you. You don't necessarily know, like, well, this person's this age, this person's that age. You're just out there doing your thing.
So just on to the back of this group. So just to update you on your group. So Annemarie Horst is your leader. Castelline, Ko, Lechner, Azufi, K, and Sana Kant are in this group. The last time we checked, Ellen van Looy and Kim van der Stene were just behind them, but just taking these big off-camber sections in a stride. Sophie de Boer, looks like she's had having a few issues here. Sophie de Boer, she had a bit of a tumble. Just looks like Sophie de Boer is calling it a day.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, it looks like it. It's unfortunate. Yeah, I think she's having a hard first half of the season. I got to catch up with her at the Trek races, and I think it's been it's been challenging. It's been a challenging season for her. I was actually talking to her about that thing, about how challenging it's been. I think just with health issues and not feeling like 100% on the bike and just different stuff going on. It's I think she's probably got a bit of. When you're in that position as a rider, sometimes it really benefits you to just take time. You know, in any sport, anything when you're at a high level, you just take some time off and you come back to it with a fresh head. I know the health stuff has been hard for her over the last couple of years. There was maybe 2 seasons ago she just took the time and just got away, and then I think she went down to some really cool Caribbean islands or something like that, and then was able to come back to it and have some success. So hopefully she's able to figure out whatever's going on and come back strong. I know all of us love seeing her out there racing.
So the Italians at the tops, Ava Lechner with Alice Arzuffi just closing the gap up to towards her teammate Yara Castelline here in the red, wearing number 9. So good to see the Italians, Arzuffi and Lechner, well up there. Ava Lechner, always a really attacking rider. Arzuffi had a bit of an off in the sand last week, didn't quite have the luck at the beginning. Onto this off-camber section, Alvarado there just dabbing the foot, trying to again keep the balance. And again, Jeremy, when you see riders on descents and things hanging that foot out, you know, a lot of the time it's not because they've made a mistake. You're trying to use that body weight to counterbalance yourself.
That's right. Yeah. You're using that tripoding technique to be able to just, like you said, kind of get that weight out in front of you and just move and shift around and use your body weight to be able to, you know, keep your bike basically on the ground. You can lean a lot further, as we see Sana Kant here coming into the barriers, just tapping those brakes, getting that bike away from her as she troops through, boom, right on there and back on the bike. So very clean. We're getting a replay here of it's like maybe just a little bit of maybe just a little hot in that corner coming low. So yeah, I mean, with a course that has a lot of different conditions on it, right? Has this mud, has these super dry sections, the riders are probably continuously having to remind themselves, like, oh, this is the turn that's super slick, or this is the turn that I don't have enough traction for, or this is the turn that I can set up nice and easy for. So yeah, it's with ever-changing conditions and the race probably getting slicker and a little bit more ridden in, things do change over the course of the day for these riders.
Annemarie Horst, you can see just time trialing her way around this. If you're just joining us for the first time today, welcome along. This is the Ethias Cross, the Polderscross from Kruibeke. Your leader, the European champion, Annemarie Horst, is going to start her 4th lap. So the last lap, it was in there, it was 37 seconds when she went through last time for the Dutch rider here from 777. So the clock starts ticking. Here's your chasing group. Katie Keogh just tailing the back end of this one. Ava Lechner leading that group through. Sana Kant, looks like she's calling it a day here, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's you know, like I said before, we don't know the reasons, we don't know what's going on. Just she's not feeling good. She's got something going on. She wants to take a protein shake. I have almost certain that's what's going on. Yep, boom. She's taking that protein bar or whatever, and she's heading back. She's gonna call it a day. Maybe maybe this isn't a series or a race that she feels like she needs to compete in fully. She just needed to get an effort in, and maybe this Super Prestige is what she's thinking for tomorrow. The opening round of the Super Prestige is tomorrow, and that is a series that she's always tried to perform well in. So maybe that's on her on the horizon for her, and she wants to try to focus on that, knowing that that she's having a hard time sitting in that chase group.
So 47 to Lechner, Catalana, Zufi, K, Alvarado, and Keo. Here's Van Looy with Kim van der Stine from Tartalito ESRX, just trying to find her way back into this. But this group here pressing on with the race here for second place. Just a few shout outs over on our Facebook feed as our chasing group goes through. John Hedge, oh, Anna-Marie Hurst slide out there for the leader. And again, you can see in terms of these lines, that was, you can see it's pretty muddy through that section. We'll get a little replay of that one. I'm sure that was the one that we saw Sana Kant a little bit earlier on. Running through that and then remounting halfway round. And again, as the race and the day goes on here, Jeremy, it just becomes, again, one lap you go through in one line, and the way you ride one section's fine. You get everyone else in the race goes round behind you, and all of a sudden next time you come round, that line doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, ever-changing conditions, and Anne-Marie is she's probably, I didn't catch exactly what tire she was running, but regardless, it's you come into a section that you had traction in earlier, and then you get there, and then you've figured out that there's not that traction doesn't exist anymore, and then you've got your bars in the mud, and you're like, well, there's only one thing I can do: get up and keep going. So as she's on what seems like the Polderscross at the moment, this is quite a climb for this smaller for this flat race that's here in Belgium today.
It looks about 20% from that
is the thing. Yeah, those bridges, man, they end up being one of the hardest parts of the races. Famously, at the Zolder World Championships, we've raced at Zolder for many years, and there's quite a hard climb in the back section. And then you got there for the World Championships. I think it was 2016, and all of a sudden, one of these ramps here, these metal ramps, had been put in to extend the climb to make it a little bit longer with a little bit steeper. And I remember saying to myself, they didn't have a way to make it harder, and now all of a sudden we have this massive climb on the back section to really make sure that this was a proper World Championships type course. So yeah, the Belgians know how to make these courses hard, and whether it takes artificial means or they're able to string together some climbs and things like that, they have the history and the depth to be able to pull it off.
Alice Arzufi is leading that chasing group now. Anna-Marie Hurst here for 777 through the sand. So the Dutch rider looking resplendent in that European Champions jersey. Anna Kay, that front wheel you can just see sliding out, just kind of going left and right. Oh, Eva Lechner's gone down here. That's the replay. So Lechner there goes down, brings Alvarado to a halt. So Keo cast the line. Then Alvarado. And Eva Lechner powering through the sand to try and come back to this one. So Del Carmen Alvarado, 2 wins last week. It's not going to be the case today, but Alice Arzufi's looking good as well today. And definitely a course that you can see Alice Arzufi and Anna Kay are both loving here.
Yeah, it's great to see Alice Arzufi coming to the front. The rider from Italy that bases up in the Benelux region, I believe in the Netherlands is where she bases herself out of. And yeah, it's kind of wild to be able to see. You think about Italy and you think, oh, it's not that far, but truthfully, it's pretty far from Belgium. It's a different culture. There's a lot of things going on there. So it's like we said here, different cultures coming into these races, making it truly international. Speaking of Italian riders, here we are seeing Eva Lechner go down. And Marty, when I look at this, the thing that I see is, again, like I was saying before, a dry track, and then you've got a really hard section of mud. And it's like there's this dry part with this muddy part, and then the muddy part has sort of leached its way on to that faster dry part. And you can see those ruts, and it just ends up putting mud on top of like a very hard surface, and then you get this like slick, almost snotty feeling underneath your tire, and then the rest is history. You go down, and we're seeing each of the riders as it gets more and more slick at speed, they're having problems with this track today.
Alessio Zuffi, the Italian, is pressing on here in that chase. Anna Kay leading 777. So 777 having a great day. Katie Keogh, you can see for Cannondale Cyclocrossworld.com, just trying to ride on to the back of that group. A few of you checking in. Jolini checking in from sunny Mexico. Robert Segerkrantz, thanks for saying hi from Finland. And a few of you as well looking forward. Jim Moran checking in from Leeds in the UK as well. So thanks, Jim. Mauricio Alcina from South America. Thanks all of you for saying hi. Lots of Italian fans as well. Cheering on Alice Zuffi in second. Yara Castelline, another solid day for her right behind Anna Kay. Do you know what? This section here, this big off-camber section, it's one of my favorite parts of the course so far.
Yeah, I would have to say it's really cool to be able to come on this off-camera section and then come into a set of barriers as we see Anna Kay setting up, jumping those barriers, and we see the 777 is out in full force today, Marty. They've got 1, 2, and 3 all right now at the moment, which is the first time we've seen that. Bart Wellens is going to be pretty happy to see that his team's doing so well. I wanted to give a call out to one of the to a question that came in when it's coming from Hilgo Mole, and it was asking, what is better for cyclocross? A question for me. What is better for cyclocross? Is it 5 watts per kilogram for a 65 kilogram rider or an 80 kilogram rider? And it's an interesting question, but I would have to say that an 80 kilogram rider doing 5 watts per kilogram on a flat course probably is going to have just a little bit more power, as we see Ellen Van Looy just having troubles there. Oof, hitting one of those wooden poles that the Belgians have to drill into the ground and put in to keep the course 100%. No one's going through the course tape on a Belgian race. But to get back to this question, on a course like this today with these short, steep climbs, I'd have to say it'd be better to be a 65 kilogram rider. You definitely don't want to be carrying any extra weight in cyclocross, especially for these like short, fast sections where you come out of a turn and you have to get back up to speed. The more weight that you're carrying in cyclocross means that you have to get it back up to speed. So overall, 65 kilogram rider doing 5 watts per kilogram. If it was a wide open, muddy, sandy race where you just need to diesel along, an 85 or 80 kilogram rider would traditionally do a little bit better. But it's about the speed changes in cyclocross, and so if I had to pick which one could I be, I would prefer to be a 65 kilogram 5 watts per kilo rider.
I think my left leg's 65 kilos at the moment. Alessio Zuffi goes through lap 5 and 6, 38 seconds, so she's pulled it back a little bit. Then Keogh, Castelline, Kay, and Alvarado at 45, just off the back of that one. So looking good. So Anna-Marie Hurst in some good form here for 777 on those Stevens bikes. And again, you look at this 777 team, you can't. It's the experience of someone like Bart Wellens advising you. That's worth everything, isn't it?
Yeah. I had when I was talking to Anna Marie earlier this summer, she had said that working with Bart has been cool because he just has done these races so many times. It's that depth, that ability to ask questions, I think, and to have them at the race, being able to talk about everything with them and just give them their sense of like, hey, think about this, or I was out walking the course and I saw that. That's that level of depth, that level of kind of that's what we were talking a little bit about with Carmen Alvarado, about how much the team means to these riders. I think it does make a difference to have good support. It makes a difference to be able to be thinking about the race and to just have like what I would call a professional atmosphere, as we see our Zuffi and now Caitlin Keogh coming through, ripping this kind of off-camber, fast downhill, up-down section. Man, this course has got some off-cambers for sure, Marty.
It has indeed. So Keogh, Castelline, Kay, and Alvarado. Those are the order through there. So your leader, so she's got her teammate, is the rider behind that's chasing her down. So if you're just checking in, welcome aboard. We are near the end of the Elite Women's race. If you've not been with us before, we have a little half time between the Elite Women and the Elite Men's race. It's roughly 30 minutes between the Elite Women and the Elite Men. So just keep checking in. We've got plenty of entertainment in the half time as well. And but we've got to take you through the back end of this one. Our Zufi, you can see there's a lot of love. Laconi Fabrizio is over on there. The Italian Susanna Viles checking on Facebook from Brisbane in Australia. Yafa Nadim from India as well. Sharon Heap also from Australia. So great to know so many of you around the world are checking into GCN Racing today. Thanks for your company. Spread the word. Let everyone know that we are bringing you Cyclo-cross all winter long. Great to see the American, though, Katie Keogh, over to Europe and straight into her stride here on this one. Because again, Jeremy, when you travel over, I'm not sure when Katie came over, but sometimes it can just take a little while just to recover from the kind of jet lag as well.
Yeah. I think she was headed over after the World Cup. So yeah, I think she's got some time there. But I'm not entirely sure. I'll ask that question for tomorrow's race. But it's yeah, the jet lag is brutal, isn't it? It's always the same. It's like you can never kind of get the more trips you do, the worse it gets. So it starts to build up in your legs. So like, okay, you've done one trip over, you're feeling springy, but by the time December or January rolls around, you're feeling like, you know what, there's just not. I cannot do another international trip and a bike race, or else I'm just gonna. They're gonna have to take me off the plane.
Brian Travis just asking, I left for a second and Sana Kant is gone. What happened? Sana Kant led out just a little bit off the pace today. Sana Kant has retired from the race, not finishing today. And good point as well, Robert Segerkrantz asking if we can present what the different sponsors are in the race as well. Yeah, we will try and get that together. Corendon are a holiday company, so we'll try and get a full sort of, we'll try and explain those, yeah, a little bit more as the season goes on. So thanks for that idea. Here is your leader, though, the head of the race. Annemarie Hurst is pressing on with this one, looking good. Got out-sprinted by Celine Del Carmen Alvarado last week. And again, Jeremy, in that position, when you get out-sprinted one week, you don't want to, again, you could see Annemarie today deciding to just take the race to everyone else, not wanting to leave anything to chance and coming in a group where you can, again, where you can get outgunned in a sprint.
Yeah, I think Annemarie's, she's happy to ride in the group, but I know that she does do better riding from the front from what we've been able to see. The races that we've seen her do well at, she's ridden from the front. She's run convincingly. This is, she's been on fire kind of all day here. She took this race right from the first lap when Sana Kant was trying to make that beginning section really hard on everybody. Annemarie was like right on her heels trying to come over the top of her and just jump out in front. She wanted to ride this race from the front, and she's doing it.
So your leader, Annemarie Hurst, then her teammate, then you've got Celine Del Carmen Alvarado and Yara Castelline. This is the battle for the third step on the podium here. Our Zufi, though, looking good in second place. So Alessandra Zufi, the 24-year-old Italian. So she's been national champion as an under-23. And again, had a good season, was the winner in Gavra last winter as well. So remember last season, that was a real breakthrough performance for Alice Zufi. Then the battle again. Can 777 triple out the podium here? It's a possibility, isn't it, Jeremy?
It is. They wouldn't be able to drink any champagne though about it because they're gonna be racing again in like all of 12 hours. So yeah, they'll be yeah. There won't be any champagne tonight, but they'll definitely, as we see, Yara Castelline and Alvarado kind of going back and forth here. Just a lot of fighting for that last spot on the podium. Alvarado really trying to make sure that she's able to get in front and not have any team tactics play into her result today.
Yeah, brilliant. Just bouncing off each other almost there. It's almost like on that back, it's almost like track sprinting tactics there. A little bounce off each other, just a little lean on each other as they battle to try and keep with that one. But as well, they close down up to Alice Zufi. The attacks here by Celine Del Carmen Alvarado is pulling this one back to the second place rider that's gone in. All four of these riders going in for a bike change. So Castelline takes her bike. And again, the tactic here on this one, everyone going in for a clean bike and everyone follows suit.
Yeah. Well, I think, maybe Bart Wellens will talk to them about this, like, hey, maybe saying to Yara Castellan, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have been so aggressive when you're riding in third, because you're promoting, right, Alvarado, you're pushing her forward, which then closed down the gap to Arzufi, and now we missed out on second place. So, sometimes being a part of the race and just pushing the pace like that and pushing it forward isn't a good tactic, because it gets the other rider motivated to then chase down their rider. So yeah, that's one of those tactics things where you don't see it often in cyclocross, but perhaps in this position, they've got a rider out front. But if they didn't have a rider out front and they were doing something like this, the tactics would definitely play out differently. So
Annemarie Horst has gone through. Final lap here, so back to Alvarado, Arzufi and Castelline. That is the next riders through on this one. They will come through the line to get 1 lap to go this time. And we went through the lap last time. It was 38 seconds is the time gap. So now Celine Del Carmen Alvarado from Corridor Circus, Anna Kay just coming around the corner. So these riders now looking around, and Arzufi ups the pace on the front. So the gap now out to 46 seconds. So Horst pulls out another 8 seconds on that lap. And Arzufi, you saw, just wanted to attack through there and then attack up this bank. So it's a great section. Then comes Anna Kay. Can Anna Kay battle her way back up towards the front? Alvarado comes through, you can see, and Arzufi answers. Alvarado just swung out there as if she was going to go for it. Anna Kay trying to find her way back through. Yara Castelline now moves up. So this final lap, the battle here for the other podium spots is really alive. Katie Keogh just coming around the corner in the distance, so it really is a battle here. It's all open for second and third spot on the podium for Alvarado. The main thing here as well for Alvarado, she doesn't want this 777 team to absolutely dominate the podium here.
No, and then she's got the legs to do it. I think like I said before, I think she was worried about the team tactics potentially coming into play. Looks like she's trying to lay down a bit of an attack. You can hear the spectators in the background just yelling for them, trying to get them all motivated for this final lap. It's definitely go time right now, with about 6 minutes left of racing. They're each trying to secure that position on the podium. They've put in 40 minutes of work, and now they want to try to take home something to show for it.
And you can see Annemarie Horst absolutely, again, apart from that little tiny movement, she's got to get around this final lap here. Absolutely faultless performance here so far today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The question coming in, is there a weight limit for cyclocross bikes from Giulini? And there is a weight the same as the UCI. For us, that is right around 15 pounds, I believe, 15 and change. So I'm not sure, Marty, what is that exact, what is that in kilograms? What is the bike limit in kilograms? Is it 6.8?
6.8, yeah, 6.8 kilos.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and it's a little tougher to achieve on a cyclocross bike because the tires are quite a bit heavier than a 25C road tire, as you can imagine, and there's a little bit different components. They're usually a little heavier built, but yeah, generally speaking, we can get a cyclocross bike down to that same range and be very competitive. So all these riders that you're seeing here are going to have bikes that are well within that 15 to 16 pound range, or 6.5 to 7.5 kilogram range.
Just attacking that bridge there, Castelline and Alvarado. They've managed to shake off the Italian Alice Arzufi here. So Castelline, great, had a podium last weekend as well in that race that was won by Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. Shirin van Anrooy was up there as well. But these two, this battle in this race here for second place has been absolutely phenomenal so far through this one. Del Carmen Alvarado not going to take it today. It's the start of a double weekend here on GCN Racing. So we are here tomorrow with the the first of the Super Prestige races tomorrow, so make sure you check back for that one. Can Arzufi find her way back here as well? on this one. Just to give a little shout out, we haven't seen them, but Anna Flynn, Katie Scott, and Fiona Turnbull, and Ishbel Strathty as well were also, for our British fans, were also starters. We haven't seen the Maria Parajon Fuentes from Spain and Barbara Borowica from Poland as well, for different fans, just picking out a few of your countries there. Azufi goes in for a bike change. Anna Kay doesn't. She just finding her way through here. You can see just on the exit of the pits there from the jet washers, just kind of makes it as well. When the water starts to flow out of the pits, it starts to make it a little bit muddy there as well.
Yeah, that's always one of those things. As we see Casterline digging right now, you can see that look on her face where she's really trying to turn the screws on Alvarado to make this second place and to kind of put herself in that second place on the podium. It's great to see these two battling so hard behind for second and third place. Alvarado looks, though, like she is really excited for this sprint finish. She's sticking on her light blue, Marty.
Yara Castelline here, 22 years old. She's been a national champion 3 times through her career twice as a debutante, which is the kind of novice category. She's been a junior national champion as well, and has had some good results over the last year or so. And she now attacks. Castelline has a glance back at Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. So if you've been a junior national champion in your home country, then that shows your class as a rider as you get older as well. And that attack has paid off at the moment for Yara Castelline. She's just managed to open up a few meters on Del Carmen Alvarado. But this section we've seen so far is just literally about to say that this is the section that Alvarado has really been attacking throughout this race. She's doing it again. Little dab of that foot just to get the balance.
Yeah, they're pushing the pace, Marty. I mean, this course has a speed limit like they all do, and they're pushing it, and Alvarado's trying to stick on. She takes that upper line to be able to get that nice swoop into the barriers, bike off, away, boom, right back on. Alvarado, there's a little bit of, I can see just a little bit of sloppiness coming through. She's definitely on her limit right now as Castelline starts to turn the screws.
She does, and she's open up. You can see just little glances back all the time just to see if she's managed to distance herself. Powers through this section past the pits. You could just see a bit of standing water there. She goes to the right. Alvarado picks the same line there, just ducks on the inside of the pit lane there as she goes through all the getting roared on from the pits. As Alvarado, this is your second and third placed riders. Here is your leader if you're just joining us for the final lap here of the elite women's race. It's Annemarie Hurst, the Dutch rider, the European champion from the 777 team. Yara Castelline, though, that attack to Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, and you can just hear the bridge rattling as the riders kind of hit the bottom of it there.
Yeah, that scaffolding is telling us a story too. But yeah, this is we're getting to see Annemarie Hurst come in for her first, I believe, victory of the season. She's going to be really happy with this performance. This is going to be a great day for her as she gives a couple high fives to the fans and takes it home for the Netherlands.
Great performance there. Annemarie Hurst crosses the line. She is your winner. It's going to be, it looks like a 1-2 here for the 777 team. The European champion takes it. Del Carmen Alvarado is trying to close it down, but that attack by Yara Castelline on this final lap. Around the final corner, Castelline has a glance back over the shoulder. She's happy with that one. It's 1-2 for 777 and sits up, hand clap. Second place for Yara Castelline, and then Celine Del Carmen Alvarado crosses the line next. So Castelline takes that. Alvarado crosses the line in third. It's going to be fourth today for Anna Kay. Arzuffi, it's going to be an Italian 6th and 7th. So Arzuffi just crossing the line here ahead of Ava Lechner. Katie Keogh is going to come home in 8th place. So Katie Keogh from Cannondale Cyclo-cross-world.com comes in next. Good performance, a solid ride. I think she'll be pretty happy with that one. A solid ride, a good hit out today for Katie Keogh.
Definitely, yeah, it's great. You know, just to be able to get over there, to be in the thick of it. At one point, she was drilling it in that chase group in second place. I think, yeah, you have to be happy with that. As we see Anna-Marie Wurst here, trying to knock some something out of her helmet. She's getting more help from her teammates, even when they're not racing.
So there you have it, just getting the protein shake. Here's Anna-Marie Wurst.
Proficiat, onze co-commentator Rob Peters noemde het een one-girl show.
Ja, nou ja, ik reed best wel vroeg weg eigenlijk. Ik had eigenlijk niet verwacht. En ik reed best wel lekker en op een gegeven moment had ik een goed spoortje. En toen was ik weg. Ik dacht, nou ja, ik kan nu wel wachten. Maar ik probeerde gewoon mijn eigen tempo te rijden. En toen had ik al gauw 40 seconden op een gegeven moment. En ik gewoon lekker doorgefietst. En het was zwaar hoor, maar wel leuk om zo te winnen.
Wist je toen je vertrokken was, dit is meteen de juiste ontsnapping?
Ja, ik denk het wel. Het was best wel. Ik dacht ik kan wel gaan wachten, maar ik voelde me wel goed. Dus ik denk van als ik nog ging wachten, dan weet ik niet als ik nog een kans krijg om weg te rijden. En daarvan nu moet ik gewoon gaan en dan zie ik hoe het loopt.
Dikke proficiat Anna-Marie Wurst. We kunnen meteen door naar de nummer 2 van vandaag. Die zit hier links. Jara Kastelein, opnieuw een indrukwekkend nummer van jou. Tweede plaats. Ben je daar tevreden mee?
Ja, ik had het van tevoren niet verwacht, wel gehoopt. Dus ik ben heel blij met mijn tweede plek.
Het was indrukwekkend, vooral ook. Ja, jullie twee van 777, 1 en 2 op het podium, dat moeten jullie tevreden stellen.
Ja, voorheen reed Alicia tweede. En toen kwam Celine op kop en ik probeerde een beetje af te stoppen voor Alicia, maar dat lukte niet. Dus probeerde ik op de lastige schuine kant, dat was niet zo mijn ding. Dus ik probeerde daar als eerste zeg maar, op te draaien om desnoods nog een beetje tijd te winnen voor Alicia. Maar zij reed daar ook niet zo goed doorheen, dus toen kwamen wij weer terug bij haar. En toen ben ik eigenlijk gelijk, ja, eerst ben ik in het wiel blijven zitten bij Celine en daarna was het alles of niks. Dus.
Alles of niets, het is alles geworden. Dikke proficiat, Jara Kastelein. En we gaan hier meteen achter ons door met de nummer 3 van vandaag. De geklopte net, toch nog een podiumplaats. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, was het een zware wedstrijd vandaag?
Ja, ik vond het behoorlijk zwaar. Ja. Inderdaad, ja, vanaf het begin eigenlijk, gelijk.
Ben je tevreden met die derde plaats?
Ja hoor, in het begin kwam ik er een beetje lastig door. En toen zat ik een beetje te ver van achter. En toen Anna-Marie samen met Sanne er vandoor ging, ja, toen zat ik gewoon te ver. En het lukte niet meer om terug te komen. En onderweg een paar fouten gemaakt, de fouten van anderen, waardoor ik weer steeds op achterstand kwam. Maar in de laatste paar rondes kwam ik toch nog wel goed door, dus ik kan wel tevreden zijn.
Met 2 eerste plaatsen en een derde plaats is dat een uitstekend seizoensbegin, hè?
Ja, absoluut, zeker.
Dikke proficiat, dankjewel.
So just run you down where I am so far. So Anna-Marie Wurst from Jara Kastelein, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, Anna Kay, Alice Arzufi, Eva Lechner, Katie Keogh, Kim van der Stine, Ellen van Looy was 9th. Here is your next rider to come in. Jara Kastelein, solid ride today from Jara Kastelein, you would say, on that one. And as they said there, the beginning of the interview, as we see the pictures of the day, a one-woman show today, Jeremy.
Aggressive start. We had Sanne Cant, the world champion, take things off. And then after that, Anna-Marie Wurst, Anna Kay, a lot of Annas up there. We saw Sanne Cant really going all out at the beginning. But here, like I was talking about earlier, you can see that Anna-Marie Wurst was intent on getting to the front of this race. And she did. She built up a lead of over 45 seconds and really rode this race pin to pin from the first lap, Marty.
Phenomenal performance from her there. Sanne Cant, a few of you kind of said you went away, came back, and she was gone. Sanne Cant, unfortunately, pulling out of the race today. After there she is, just right on cue. Not quite sure, but that was really the only error that we saw from Anna-Marie Wurst today on that really muddy section there. And this battle, for me, this was phenomenal between Arzufi, Alvarado, Kastelein, and Anna Kay in there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, every rider has a problem throughout the race. I can't imagine that, as we see here, Anna Marie Worst just winning the race, given a nice bit of high fives and smiles to the finishing crowd there. But yeah, Castellan coming in for second, and then Alvarado finishing out the podium in third. But yeah, having a small problem out on the track when you've built up such a lead, yeah, can't hurt too much. So here's your top 10. Anna Marie Worst, Yara Castellan, Carmen Del Alvarado, Anna Kay, Elise Marie Arzufi, Eva Lechner in 6th, Caitlin Keogh in 7th, Kim van der Stine in 8th, Ellen Van Looy in 9th place, and Alicia Frank rounding out the top 10 today.
And there you have it. So that is your top 10 on that one today. So just we've done our analysis, our halftime show. We will be back with the elite men's race in a little while. In terms of our halftime entertainment there, Jeremy's been out and about doing a few things. We'll be back just after this with some more analysis of the women's race. But this is, can you ride cyclocross on a gravel bike?
Today we're going to be talking about why your gravel bike may or may not be right for the cyclocross course, and some of my favorite tips for when you go to the bike shop and you're looking for a new ride. So as the days get a little shorter and the night temps get a little cooler, you start to get that feeling. Cyclocross is in the air. Your next thought is that you start daydreaming about mud and off cambers, but then reality hits and you ask yourself, how can I save a little bit of money? It might be tempting to think that your gravel bike can tear it up on the cross course. And the truth is, they might just be able to. With all of the different titles that these bikes have, aero gravel, regular gravel, cyclo-cross, what is it that makes these bikes different from one another? So the first thing that we're gonna do is test these bikes against each other on a small course that I made just down the street from my house. So first up is the Grevel, just as I ride it on the gravel roads with 42C tires.
3, 2, 1.
In the other corner is the Orbea Terra, which is Orbea's gravel bike, and it's mounted up with Continental's 35C cyclocross tires. 3, 2, 1. Okay, last up is the Canyon in-flight cyclocross bike. It is the challenger, but it's on its home court advantage. I've got 35C Continental cyclocross tires on this. Let's see how she does. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so before we get to the results of that very hotly contested race, and trust me, there were fans everywhere, we're going to talk about the 3 things that I think are the big factors when you're picking a cyclocross versus a gravel bike. And those things are tires, drivetrain, and geometry. This bike, the Grevel, the Pinarello Grevel, has 40C tires. You might be thinking, hey, you know what? I got a Grevel. I can rock up to the cyclocross race. No problem. These tires are probably better than what the cyclocross bikes have. They're bigger. They should be better. Bigger is better, right? Maybe. Have to wait till the end to see the results. But I'll say this. While they are bigger and they do have a bigger contact patch, and typically they get better tread and they'll be a little bit softer ride, they are harder to get up to speed. So every time you go through one of these tight turns and you're dodging in and out, that can add 1 second, half second every single turn. If there's 30 turns, you know the math. This bike, the Orbea Terra, had the 35 Contis, as did the Canyon. These tires get up to speed a little bit faster traditionally, and so that's why on cyclocross bikes, you usually have a little bit narrower tire. Now we're going to talk about drivetrains. 1x or 2x? That's always the question. And the truth is that it comes down to personal preference. I've won and lost on both systems, and I've enjoyed them both the same. They have differences though. One of the big things about a 1x system is that I would say it's a little less versatile. So meaning if you're on the cross bike, it's good because it allows you to have a cleaner setup up front. It's got the clutch in the back, and you don't have to worry about any chain suck or anything like that. It's just one ring. It just goes. When you've got a 2x system, you've got a lot more versatility, especially if your bike is going to double up as a gravel bike. This bike has a 46-33-10-33, meaning it has 1-to-1 gearing, 33-33. So if you're going to use your bike on gravel, well, then a 33-33 is 1-to-1. That is pretty good gearing. You can go up a 10-minute climb with these big tires with a lot of ease. So can you race cyclocross in a double? Of course you can. And I did for a long time. I can only say there were a handful of races where I really enjoyed having a double, and otherwise I was always in the big ring crushing. So if you need more versatility, go with a 2x. If you're happy just being a full-time cross rider, cross bike, that's all it's doing, 1x is probably your jam. Okay, so I am not a bike geometry expert by any stretch of the imagination, but being a pro for a long time, you end up picking up a couple things and you know what this means and that means. So I'm gonna go through a couple of the measurements that I think are important on these bikes. Okay, so first up is the seat tube angle, and that is important because if you're too steep on a cyclocross bike, you're gonna definitely feel all of the bumps. And if you're too shallow, well, then you're not gonna be in enough control. These bikes all share the same seat tube angle at 72 degrees. Okay, so next up is head tube angle. You can imagine that like this is 90 degrees, 70, 72, this is 70.5, as is the Orbea Terra, and the Canyon though is 72. That's the big difference that I see. It's steeper, it's a little bit sharper, that's where you're gonna get that fast turn. So you come into something, it's a slower turn because you're on a cyclocross course, you have to scrub a lot of speed to make it through the turn. You get through the turn, but the Canyons, because it has that sharper angle, is able to turn a little bit quicker and a little bit more efficiently at that slow speed. Whereas these bikes that are more slacked out, they're longer, they have more, geometry that suits that long gravel riding style. That's where this bike's gonna differ entirely from the Canyon. Okay, so you think that you heard me on the geometry. I know it was very technical, but this is YouTube. You can go back and you can listen to it again. It's free, no problems. So the big takeaway though, these bikes, a little gentler, a little longer, they steer a little nicer, longer rides. Think the gravel bikes, longer rides. This, the Canyon, for speed, cyclocross, boom, 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 steeper, sharper angles, okay? Other key differences in these bikes, bottom bracket heights, very similar. Traditionally, cyclocross bikes have higher bottom brackets so that they don't hit their cranks in the mud or on the off-camber sections, and these gravel bikes typically a tiny bit lower to be able to kind of lengthen things out. Longer wheelbase makes it a little bit more pleasant riding. Okay, then you've got the tires. The tires on this bike, 45s is what the Greville will accept, probably even a little bit bigger. This, I'm not sure if the Canyon would accept bigger tires, so you'd have to factor that into your decision. And the Terra, I would say, is somewhere in the both of them. But Canyon, you can see, has really focused on the back of the bike in mud clearance. That has been their big thing with this bike. You can see it's just a massive space in there, where I don't know that the Greville has as much clearance, but it can fit those bigger tires. So that is the information that I have for you about these bikes, and the differences. It's all about what you want and what the bike's gonna do, what you're gonna do with the bike the most. And if you're okay with giving up a little bit here and taking a little bit there, it's up to you. There are differences in these bikes, no question about it. They have different geometries, they have different purposes. But what were the results of the test around the track? You have to know. I also really wanted to know. That's why we timed it. So the Greville came in at 32 seconds around the track. Next was the Orbea Terra at 29 seconds. And then the winner, I know, it's a cyclocross course with a cyclocross bike, the Canyon, came in at 27 seconds. And those reasons for that are all in what I said earlier. The snappier geometry, the short chain stays, all that stuff, the smaller tires, all allow the bike to get up to speed faster. So it's not a surprise that a purebred cyclocross bike does better on a cyclocross course. But would you want to ride that bike for 5 or 6 hours? That's up to you. I've ridden tons of bikes and they all have different geometry and they can all be set up to be really comfortable. But you have to pick what is going to make a difference for you. What are you going to do most with the bike? And that's what we went over here today. So if you liked this video and you want to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, please do. If you want to check out other great gravel videos, check them out over here. And if you want to click subscribe to GCN, check out right in the center. All right, so the rain has started to fall here at the Trek CXC Cup, and I've got Mike Berry, one of the mechanics at the Cannondale Cyclocrossworld.com team, and we're gonna go back over to your trailer, and we're gonna learn how to clean one of these bikes. Absolutely. All right. Today we're at the Trek CX Cup in Waterloo, Wisconsin for the second round of the Cyclo-cross World Cup. The skies opened up and the rain started coming down and the riders and mechanics were in for a muddy day of it. Michael Berry from Cannondale Cyclocrossworld.com racing team was kind enough to take us through how they get the bike back up and running after a nasty day of racing. Okay, Mike, so we've got the bike back here. It's pretty muddy. They had to switch because of the tires, I think, right?
Yep, yeah, these mixes were not quite enough grip for once it started raining, so we pitted for a little more aggressive tire.
Yeah, mud tire. So so the bike's dirty. You're bringing it back here to the Cannondale booth where you're going to clean it all off. And it's a little bit different than a race scenario. Like, what would you do in a race scenario? A bike rider comes in with a pit.
In a race scenario, it's primarily working on cleaning the mud off, really not worrying too much about degreasing chain, just really getting the heavy stuff off the tires, off the brake levers, off the saddle,
yep.
Reducing the weight from the mud.
Yeah, because sometimes you're going to turn a bike back to a rider
in half a lap.
Yeah, 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, well then we're going to watch you rip this thing down and get it cleaned up.
Cool.
Mike, so tell us what's going on here. You've got different brushes for different things.
Yep. So it's a quite smaller nylon brush for the chain cassette.
Yep.
Really helps knock the heavy stuff off.
Okay.
And then there's bigger, softer brush for wheels, tires, and frame.
Right. And is this with horsehair?
This is horsehair, yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't pick up any of the grease, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's you can get it dirty and it washes clean.
Yeah, right. I love that. Okay, and then and this obviously has a lot of grass on it. This is a course that's like going to get beaten up and chewed up, but grass is always a little brutal because it gets in everything.
Gets in everything. Gets in the pulley wheels. Definitely have to make sure you clean out the pulley wheels. The pressure washer will take care of a lot of that.
You can't leave these dirty in your garage. You need to be really quick about getting the mud off these.
Yep. Get the mud off. You want to make sure, obviously, that it doesn't. No water gets down inside and where the glue is. Especially when it's dry and dusty, you want to get that stuff off as well.
Okay.
It'll do just as much damage as the water will.
Yeah, all right. All right, we're going to watch you blast this down. So we got all of this stuff off of it, power washed it, gotten all the big stuff off. You can still see there's still a little bit of debris from this grass.
We'll clean out the rest of the grass and back on the stand when we lube it up.
Okay.
Dry it down.
So we're gonna bring it in now.
Yep.
Okay, to the dry.
To the dry.
Okay, so we're back in. This is like getting your hair done a little bit. We're at the salon. We've been outside. We got it nice. It was dirty.
Yep, we got a shampoo, and now we're back here for the finishing touches.
That's right. Okay, so now you bring it in. You're going to dry it all off. Tell us about what's going to happen now.
So from here, it's going to get a little more detail, pull the wheels off, dry things up more so than what we were dealing with outside. And we'll lube the chain, make sure everything's good, inspect tires, inspect the handlebar tape, make sure this bike did go down, so we'll make sure everything's good.
Got it. And the reason that you take the wheels off, obviously this bike didn't have it probably only had 8 minutes of racing before it got back to you, presumably.
Yes, yeah. But it is something you pull the wheels off just so we can clean them better. We can make sure we get all the debris out.
For the people that are home, it's also a good time probably like check bearing. I mean, just to,
Yep, absolutely. This is the time to. Your bike just got raced. You want to make sure that it's back to race tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Okay. For the super grassy ones, you're just pulling those out.
Just pull the pulleys out. Make sure you get all the grass out from inside. It'll definitely start to get into the bearings and slow you down.
Yeah. The longevity here is gonna go a lot longer.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. You're just drying off these cotton sidewalls. You don't want them, presumably.
Yeah, you don't want to keep them wet. You want to get all the mud, get all the debris off. Definitely keep them dry.
What happens if we keep them wet?
They will start to rot.
Yeah.
They are a cotton casing, so they will rot.
It's like a pillowcase.
Like a pillowcase.
A wet pillowcase.
Yes.
Each chain link.
Each chain link. You start at the quick link, and you put one dab on each link. Work your way all the way through, wipe the excess off, and you're done.
All right, and that's it.
That's it.
It's done.
It's done.
So thank you so much for taking it through. The bike looks brand spanking new.
It's ready to race tomorrow.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Welcome back to our live coverage here of the Ethias Kruibeke from Kruibeke. Jeremy, great video there. The cyclo-cross equivalent of giving your bike a bit of a mani-pedi there. A lot of love going into that one. Every single link, look after those bikes, everyone. They are pretty skilled cyclo-cross mechanics, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, man. And the relationship that you're able to develop with them over being out there just at the races every weekend, that is your person that can help you, have a good day or have a bad day. They're in it as much as you are. So having a good pit person is half of the game out there in cyclocross.
Okay, now if you weren't with us for the elite women, if you don't want to know the result, because we're going to bring you that now, you can look away in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's have a look at the highlights of the women's race. Sana Kant, Jeremy, great start from her, but today all about Annemarie Horst there, the European champion from 777.
Yeah, Annemarie had a fantastic day out on the bike. Everything looks like it came together. One small crash, that brought her down just before the sandpit, but otherwise she had a fantastic day out on the bike, taking it right from the beginning and riding the race pin to pin.
It was a phenomenal performance. Great day out as well for Anna Kay from Experza Foot Logics. But Sana Kant, just a little bit, just sometimes takes her a few races just to get into it. There was the one little mistake from Annemarie Horst, just a little slide out there on that muddy section. If you weren't with us earlier on, this was the Belgian Cyclo-cross Championships earlier in the year. This was the battle for the rest of the podium. Annemarie, the worst teammate Yara Castelline, Alice Arzufi, and Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. So 777, amazing day out for them. There is your winner. Annemarie Horst got out sprinted last week by Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, made no mistake today. And Yara Castelline, as we said, a former junior national champion. She, again, just like Celine Del Carmen Alvarado behind her and Anna Kay behind her, a lot of the younger riders that we saw last year, again, they're just taking big steps forward this year. There's your top 10. So Annemarie Horst from Yara Castelline, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, Anna Kay in fourth, Alice Arzufi, Eva Lechner. So great day out for the Italians. Katie Keogh, Kim van der Stine, Ellen van Looy, and Alicia Frank was your top 10. 3 minutes and 32 seconds separating the top 10. There is your podium here in Kruibeke. So, Anna-Marie Horst, it's the start of a very big weekend. We have the start of the Super Prestige series tomorrow. So, a real big weekend ahead of us. Before we get to the men's race action, and we've got the likes of Toon Aert in here. He took the Belgian title on this course. A great battle in that one with Wout van Aert earlier on in the year. Tom Pidcock is racing as well for Trinity Racing. A lot of excitement around that. But let's remind ourselves of the Ethias series so far. So Laurens Sweeck, Michael van Turenhout, your winners so far. There's Toon Aert, the Belgian champion. As we said, he took this title on this course. There's Tom Pidcock from Trinity Racing. He is wearing his British National Champions jersey today. So a front row start for Tom Pidcock. Jens Adams right alongside him. So you can see Meissen's got a good front row start here as well. We are almost off and racing. And he took Pidcock's right there. David van der Poel. So again, if you want, I'm sure we'll answer it throughout. So Mathieu van der Poel starting his cross season a little bit later on this season. Eli Iserbyt, you can see there wearing number 8. So everyone watching the lights. So I was at Tom Pidcock's team launch. You could see the Red Bull helmet there for Tom Pidcock of Trinity Racing. And last winter as well, there was just, again, didn't quite get sometimes those front row starts, but those UCI points, those all-important points that you need. So Michael van Turenhout, again, number 3, we are off and racing. Away we go in this one. So let's run you down. So Arts, Michael van Turenhout, Quentin Hermans, Marcel Meissen, David van der Poel, Tom Pidcock, Eli Iserbyt is here. They'll go through this section. Jens Adams, Tom Meusen, fast section through this climb. Toon Aert leading out here. Antoine Benoit from France as well. Vinny Bastians as well, number 13. I know someone you're a big fan of. Jeremy Tissart is here as well. Lars Bohm is on the start list as well. Ben Tullett, Thomas Main. We've also got the likes of Craig Gull was on the provisional start list. Callum McLeod, Finn Mansfield and Cameron Mason from Trinity Racing, another friend of the show. Watch out as well, New Zealand fans from Canyon DHB for Ryan Christensen wearing number 50 in those blue colours. But Toon Aert taking the low line, and Michael van Turenhout taking the high line here, drops down right in front of Toon Aert, just corrects it a little bit. Hermans just comes to a bit of a stop there. Pidcock is well up here on this one. Vinny Bastians moving up in 13. There's a few riders just coming together a little bit further back, but a great start already, Jeremy, for Toon Aert.
Yeah, it looks like Toon Aert is on some really good form. All of a sudden, it's he's coming off of the American races where he was on the podium, doing well in those races, but not at the front necessarily, not like at the top step, and hasn't taken a win yet that I know of. And so, yeah, coming into this race, it looks like with this opening round of the Super Prestige, definitely looks like he has got some spark in his legs this morning.
So Michael van Turenhout leading out. How much of a difference do you think that win last week will have made to Michael van Turenhout?
Oh man, it just getting a little bit of wind in your sails as a pro rider. It's you work so hard for so long, and you want to be able to put all that hard work and show for it. And so being able to finally put one together, and take a win with all the best riders that are currently racing at the moment. He's got to have gone to bed really happy that night. You could see the smile and the exuberance when he punched the sky last time. How pumped he was about it.
So Van Torenhout just has a little look back over the top of that bridge. If you weren't with us for the elite women's race, it's a really big, steep bridge that they've got there. And Van Torenhout as well. Just again, it's just has a little glance back just to see what sort of damage that he's doing on the opening rollout here. Hermans is up there, so is Pidcock. So Pidcock getting himself in there as well. So Hermans. So Pidcock, can he start his cyclocross season in great fashion by taking what he would hope would be a real big confidence boosting a victory for him. There's Mayusen. The camera's just having a little a good view down the line here. So just going through. Is just checking out there. Thomas Main, you can see he's wearing number 34 today. Cameron Mason's not far away from him.
As we saw, Toon Aerts just going for a bike change there. Maybe starting out on a little bit higher pressure for that start straight to see if he can get a good start and get out of traffic early. As we see Eli Easterby, the World Cup leader and the winner of the first 2 rounds, taking the front. A good course for him, really snappy. A lot of explosive short climbs that'll really suit his skill set today here, Marty.
Good to see Dieter Swait getting up there as well, wearing number 15. He's well to the front of this one. Dieter Van Torenhout as well. So the brothers all very up here as well. So good to see Dieter Swait and Dieter Van Torenhout, who are both up there. This climb, you can see they're really attacking this one. There's Bastians gets up there as well. Pidcock is in 4th. So Isabit, Hermans, Van Torenhout, Pidcock, Arts and Jim Arnouts is also up here as well for Telenet Balois Lions. So this opening lap, a real quick course on this one. So Isabit again on the barriers we saw in our VT. Eli Isabit had a bit of a tumble last week, didn't he, in Moulebeke?
Yep, it happens. As they come into this section, pushing the speed limit of this off-camber section as they come down with a lot of speed into this right here into the barriers. Boom, Isabit jumping. Almost everyone jumping at the front here. You see Airmont, Michael Van Torenhout, and the rest of the gang just ripping through there. It's great to see Pidcock coming off of that injury that he had earlier this year and being able to come back to the racing, doing super well at the World Championships in his home country in the United Kingdom. He was in the thick of it at the World Championships on the road. Now we see him launch for his cross team as he's got problems going into the pit and he's got that new Red Bull helmet on. It's cool to be able to see him back, hanging up the road bike and coming back out to play in the cyclocross races.
Yeah, his arch rival, you would say, there, number 8, Eli Isabit. Again, this group, they're going to be mindful of Pidcock in this one, aren't they? They haven't seen him so far this season.
He's the only guy that's speaking. That's the only guy that's speaking English that's up there, so they don't have to say anything to him. That's for sure. There's nothing to say unless they're saying it in English. So I give him a lot of props. This is a proper Dutch Belgian sport, and he has made a heck of a name for himself, and he has really put it to them in the last couple of years, and he's a guy to watch for the future. But I think he has to be thinking about what the possibilities are, seeing how many victories that Eli Easterby has already taken, knowing that he's been able to, if you put Eli Easterby and Tom Pidcock head to head, right, Marty, you'd see that Pidcock has I would say more than half the time been able to defeat Eli Easterby. So here we go. As I'm talking about it, you see him putting himself right in front of Eli Easterby.
Swake attacks. There's Jens Adams just trying to ride across the gap here. Bastians, Van der Poel, Meyusen are the next riders. Klepper, German, Stan Godry up there in 17th as well. Stan Godry, Tom van der Bosch, Siebens, Ferdinand goes through as well. Thomas Main, so 20 seconds down here for Main. Turner going through as well, I think. Just going through, Ben Tullett. So Ben Tullett going through. James Henry, good question over on our YouTube chat. And for Jeremy, James asking, how many bike changes are allowed? Jeremy?
You can take as many bike changes as you want. You just have to make sure that there's a bike in the pit for you when you go in, which is what we were seeing Tom Pidcock have a little bit of a problem with there. Whether he got bumped by another mechanic and then his mechanic was not being aggressive enough. That is one thing that we don't talk a lot about here, but having known and hearing the stories from my mechanics about how aggressive it is in the pits, it's actually like that could be its own show in itself, Marty. It's like us commentating who's going in the pits. There's a lot of pushing and shoving. I can't say that there's always like, fists thrown or anything like that, but it is really aggressive and there's a lot of words being thrown around. So.
Gianni Meersman is just the team manager in the bottom of your picture. So a few of you as well asking who the Brits are in the race today. I'll give you those because we've got a lot of British fans as well. So on the start, 22, we're on the start list. We have Ben Tullett, 34, Thomas Main. And going a little bit further down, Tom Pidcock, of course, he's sticks out in that British national champions jersey. For other British fans as well, Craig Gow, as I said, was on the start. Callum McLeod, Finn Mansfield and Cameron Mason. And watch out for a few Cameron Mason and Tom Pidcock's videos that they've sent over. Coming up, they've been having some fun. Sergio Fernandez from Spain. Now we have a lot of viewers from Spain. Thomas Edhofer also in there as well for German fans with Meissen. Ryan Christensen for New Zealand fans as well. Yu Takanuchi was on the provisional start as well for Japanese fans as well. So good to see some different flags getting up there, and we just it's nice to see. It's such a Belgian and Dutch dominated sport, isn't it? You were someone that broke through. Tom Pidcock, though, just for the British fans and international fans in general, seeing Tom Pidcock and another flag coming through, that gives you confidence.
Oh man, it's so great for the sport to have different nationalities represented. I mean, yeah, back in the day, there were a lot of different nationalities. And yeah, Japan has a really thriving cyclocross scene. They've got a lot of really great riders that have come up through the years, raced at the World Cup level, lived and trained in Belgium. Yu Takaniki is one of the riders that, he's been a friend of mine for a while. It's when you're over in Europe as a foreigner, right? You're not from mainland Europe. It's always interesting to be able to talk with the other riders. Everyone's pretty excited to be able to just be like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I have to say personally, I love the Japanese culture. So I give Yu Takanuchi a lot of props for putting himself in this position. And I would say he probably feels pretty Belgian at this point. He spent a lot of time over there as a rider.
So Eli Isabit leading out here from Quentin Hermans. So the Telenet Balois lines. Tom Pidcock, Michael Van Toren out, Tone Arts. Dieter Swake is your next rider. Jens Adams just gets on to the back of that one. Dieter Van Toren out well up there as well. So great opportunities for these riders. So Dieter Swake and Dieter Van Toren out. Those riders are kind of around that sort of top 10 mark. Yeah, Jim Arnouts and Jens Adams are your next riders. This course, the way this course, these big banks, it really does suit the likes of Eli Isabit, Tom Pidcock, those smaller, little bit lighter riders, would you say?
Yeah, and that was going back to a little bit of what I talked about, Marty, in the women's race. About someone had asked a question: would it be better to have a 5 watts per kilogram, meaning like how much is your power to weight ratio? How many watts can you put out on the bike versus your weight as a rider? And so I was saying, would you rather be 60 kilograms or 80 kilograms? And on a course like today, I would rather be 60 kilograms at 5 watts per kilo, just for the rotational weight, just for the having to get the bike back up to speed. Definitely would prefer to be a light rider, as we see the riders just jumping these barriers, making quick work of it. Pidcock even getting a little bit of a kick there on that second one.
I think I was about 10 when I was 50 kilos. That's a long time ago.
Well, we don't need to talk about my kilograms either, but yeah, I'm definitely not in the 60 kilogram. I think at my best I was probably like 68 and a half or something like that. So yeah, not bad, but definitely the lighter you are, the better in all forms of cycling. It's all about power to weight ratio and that all that nerdiness that goes along with it.
Yeah, Ethias a bit driving over the top of this bridge here. Thanks all of you for checking in and saying hi over on our chat forums. I just try and keep an eye on them, and just a few of you just checking in as well. Lots of fans. So Chris from Poland, thanks for saying hi. Philip Miller, waiting on my GCN presenter video. Yeah, I think we'll be waiting a long time on that one. I'm not that important in terms of my my presenter video. I don't think that one's going to happen.
Marty, you could do a great presenter video. Don't lie. Don't lie to us.
Yeah, maybe in front of a fire with maybe something like that. Good question here. Are dropper posts allowed in cyclocross? So you haven't put your name, but thanks for the question. Dropper posts.
Yeah, man, you could do it if you want. I expect that we will see. I think that the riders that are here, maybe when the organizers start getting a little more creative with their courses and because right now you couldn't take a cyclocross bike, right, and do let's say like a backflip. I'm going really wild now, like a backflip off one of these ramps. But if you had a dropper post and you had like some other creative drops or some big whips and things like that, then a dropper post would make sense for the pro riders. Right now, with the way the courses are lined up and set up, yeah, dropper post is probably a nice to have for some of these corners and some things, but it's not an essential piece of equipment, so the riders aren't going to bother with that. It's with the advent of, you guys would see it before, like we needed, right, to have the brake levers up on higher on the bar to be able to get enough leverage with the cantilever brakes. But yeah, now that we have disc brakes, there's no need to have those levers on the tops like that. So things change in cyclocross. If the courses change, as we see Michael Van Torenhout, Toon Aerts, Eli Easterbit, Quentin Hermans, and Pidcock coming through. Yeah, you never know. Maybe. Maybe
yeah,
the dropper
good
post
question. Thanks for your question. So thanks for saying hi. So this group's still very much together. It's still anyone's race here at the moment. So David van der Poel and Tom Meyosa not far off the pace here, but Michael Van Torenhout now comes through to the front. You see this off-camber section as everyone drops down. Tom Pidcock just hanging the right foot out just to counterbalance. There's Quentin Hermans goes through. So Van Torenhout, Arts, Easterbit, Hermans, then a little Pidcock just closing that gap down. Jim Arnouts is there as well. Let's have a little look here. Whoa, coming in a little bit hot at the top of that one. Just goes down.
It happens. It happens. Yeah. Looks like Michael Van Torenhout trying to get himself off the front here, get a little bit of momentum from this race, spice things up a little bit. It's very different racing than we saw in the women's race, Marty. It's this is a big group, and this race looks really fast. It's almost like, from what I see, that there's not enough space for these riders to be able to go wide open and create a big gap. It's like there's a little bit more finesse in today's race and a little bit more technical prowess that's necessary. So it's going to take a rider to be able to string these sections together technically and physically, one by one, to be able to create and put together a big attack. Because right now what we're seeing is a lot of group style racing where there's a lot of changes at the front, there's a lot of short punchy efforts, and it's not a traditional course from what we typically see in Belgium and the Netherlands.
What we're seeing as well, though, and that what we became so used to last winter, just Mathieu van der Poel riding away or Wout van Aert riding away, but now we're seeing a bunch race like this, which is great, isn't it? I love seeing this.
Yeah, I love it. It's awesome. We've got Pidcock up there ripping the British flag. We've got Belgium, the Netherlands also represented. We've got the Aerts in the Belgian tricolor. This is great racing, man. I love it. And I think too, these conditions being just a little bit slick, it's keeping a speed limit on a lot of the corners, so it's really making it hard for these riders to be able to it's making it really hard for these riders to be able to create a gap and to get time away.
Here's Andrew McQuaid.
Holidays after Yorkshire, and he's only been back on the bike this week. He only really got back on the bike Wednesday. We launched the team Tuesday night, so it's very surprising, but good.
Does it give you a lot of confidence for the future?
Yeah, it's with Tom, we know how special he is anyway, so it's good. We hope that he takes a step up this year to really fight for the podium in Elite, so yeah, it's a great sign.
What do you think is possible today? Maybe the victory?
We don't know, to be honest. I think after an hour racing, I think it will start to fade towards the end. So I think if he's top 10 today, that's great, and we build on from there.
Top 10 zegt hij, voorlopig is dat dik gelukt.
Andrew McQuaid there runs the Trinity Racing team. He's got big plans for this team as well. They've got Cameron Mason and Abby May Parkinson in that team as well. Abby May Parkinson making her return to cyclocross this winter. Had a lot of victories as a young rider. There's Pidcock, as Andrew said there, only got back on the bike this week. I was at the Trinity team launch as well. I might have kind of signed you up for a go-kart race against Tom Pidcock as well, Jeremy, at some point.
Interesting. I'll be. I'll make sure to brush up on my go-karting skills. I would not want to get shown up too badly on that, especially given that we work in media. As we see Iserbit turning the screws. What else did you learn from the team launch, Marty? There had to have been some good snippets over there. It must have been a lot of good energy going into that team. They have pretty cool, flashy bikes and kits. Everything's looking very pro. So what was your takeaway?
I think a lot of it is this development angle as well, and I think Andrew wants the team to be able to stand alone in the future as if Tom goes world tour at some point. Tom, as you said, you know, as you've seen a lot in the media as well, if you're reading a lot of interviews, doesn't want to go world tour just yet. You see our 3-rider leading group here, Iserbit, Arts and Van Torenhout, just starting to get a bit of a gap through that section. But this team, big plans. It's going to take Tom a little bit, maybe just to get the groove again, as we've seen with the likes of Sana Kant in the women's racing as well. Great, I think he got given his Red Bull helmet by Danny McCaskill as well, which was a special moment for him. I had the biggest fanboy moment as well with Danny McCaskill as well when I met Danny McCaskill as well. But he's
that is
great,
super cool.
Yeah, it's a big moment for him as well. I think the goals, always those goals, the World Championships a little bit later on. We're going to see him more in the elite racing this year as well, as we are, with Ellie Iserbit, so it's just that step up, isn't it? Year on year, stepping up. He loves cyclocross. He's taken a lot of inspiration from the likes of Matthew van der Poel to show that he can keep racing cross and road and his mountain bike as well. So I think that's a big thing. And fun, a big message of this team. We just saw Ryan Christensen there in the blue from Canyon DHB, but fun. A lot of the thing that you take away from Tom, Cameron, Abby May is fun, enjoying riding the bikes, as Cameron and Tom have been out playing in the sand, bunny hopping up steps and everything. So yeah, it's a really exciting team. And he plays Fortnite apparently with Matthew van der Poel online, who's very good at that.
That's amazing. Okay.
Ellie Iserbit comes through with Tone Arts and Michael Van Torenhout. Bit of a gap now. Pidcock just trying to close onto the coattails of Quentin Hermans. Hermans is driving home here, and then we've got a bit of a gap. So Quentin Hermans at 9, Pidcock just a second behind him. Iserbit carrying that momentum through here. The climbing, you touched on it last week as we go through T. Sarts and Jens Adams up there, Nicholas Klepper. So Van der Poel, Van Torenhout, rider down there, just clips the back wheel. Michael Van Torenhout's gone down, and he's gone down heavy here. So I'll just have a look at what happened there. Let's get a replay of that. He's gone down really heavy here. Oh, what a shame for Van Torenhout. That was.
It looks like he's maybe crashed right in front of his team's, maybe his team caretakers, or is that just? Maybe these are just fans. I'm not sure exactly what's happening. Now he's upset. Now the adrenaline has come off, and he's about to get back on the bike. I don't know if that was a clip, if someone clipped him, but I definitely want to look forward to the replay of this. It just seemed he was in that front group going well, and then all of a sudden he was on the ground with a hard hit, Marty. Here we go.
Let's have a look. So it comes through. Oh, did he clip the wooden post on one side, or just clip? He clipped Tune Art's back wheel from the look of it, looking at where he was.
It definitely wasn't intentional, that's for sure. Yeah, it wasn't an intentional thing. Nobody was, these guys race week in and week out, so there's not going to be any problems in with amongst the group. They're not going to be throwing elbows. That's just not the way that the job gets done. It's usually one with the legs. So yeah, I wouldn't have expected there to be any kind of back and forth between him and another rider. So yeah, it looks like it had to have been just a miscalculation on his part, either from one of the posts or maybe he overlapped that rear wheel of Toon Aerts and then just got himself, just kind of caught himself off guard. 1 second of just lapse in attention, and then all of a sudden he's on the ground and he's out of this race.
He's a bit arts than Hermans and Pidcock, so they're just able to glance across at each other. We heard Andrew McQuaid there, Jeremy, just talking about the fact that after the road season, after the roadworks, Pidcock's had just got back on the bike. You're playing catch-up with the likes of Eli Isabit and Toon Aerts, who came over to the US. They rode those World Cups. Isabit was on phenomenal climbing form in the US as well.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I'd say this. I think that Pidcock's looking at a longer game. He just has gotten back on his bike to get ready for the World Championships. I don't think we're seeing him at his absolute best. But given what's just happened with Michael Van Torenhout, potentially the podium opens up for him straight away. Now he's riding in 4th position. I know that we saw his team manager say potentially top 10 today, but it's always good to be a little bit modest in that interview. I'm sure that they're hoping for more than that, because that would give them that sense that they're a little bit ahead of the game. Obviously, he knows that he's racing for 3rd place, and it's game on, right? It's game on. It's a long season. There's a lot of races to go. He and Quentin Hermans are for sure going to play out this next 5 laps. It's going to be hard racing coming up.
We have going through Nicholas Klepper leading Tom Meos, and you can see he's got that skin suit unzipped. Jim Arn out. Jens Adams goes through as well. David Van der Poel just going through. And the next one. Good question here from Bremu's Studio, just asking, are they wearing aero skin suits or is it something different or special for cyclocross, Jeremy?
Normally it's a regular skin suit for a race like this, just traditional Lycra, as we see Michael Van Torenhout trying to make his way back up and salvage whatever he can from today. Probably the biggest difference that you see for cyclocross specific stuff is in the winter when you get these thermal skin suits, right? They're fleece lined, they're thicker, they're heavier duty. In the cold races, if you've got cold muscles, your body's just using up a ton of sugar to be able to stay warm, and you're not putting everything into the bike. So long story short is that the thing that you see the most difference is you don't want to have like a Rohan Dennis time trial skin suit, because that's going to be really not good for when you have to stand up and run with the bike. So it's just a traditional skin suit. It's tight to your body so that you're not catching it on anything. It's aerodynamic enough. Aerodynamics aren't the most important thing in cyclocross, although they're probably slightly important, but not the only thing you're thinking about, because you're fighting so many different variables. As we see Isabit coming through, taking that line over, as we get a lap rider coming up, probably can't believe his eyes. He's only been in the race 24 minutes, and we've got a lap coming up, but he's probably either had a problem or he's just learning, getting into some of his first European races. I'm not sure. Marty, did you get an idea on that rider?
That's Sergio Fernandez from Spain. So coming
Fantastic.
in here. So yeah, good to see the Spanish riders in there. It's a bit of a rude awakening sometimes, isn't it, when you step up to this level? You can be riding top 4 and top 5 in your own country, and you come in here and it's a completely different world, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been lapped in European races. I've been lapped by I've been lapped by Sven Nys, and I've been on the podium with Sven Nys. So every dog has their day, as we say, Marty.
So definitely. So going through. Go on.
Another question, as we see, it looks like Hermans, and then we see Pidcock just on the second one getting a little squirrely. Might be telling us a little something, but not really something to take away from that necessarily. Just going fast into the barriers. Another question for you, Marty. What do you think Chris Froome would do here? He says, do you think Chris Froome would be able to take a good place between 1 through 5 here from the hamburger cyclist? Sounds like the kind of cyclist I want to be.
Do you know what? You got to remember that. Well, you got Chris Froome in cross. There's going to be no. Chris Froome himself would say probably be. He'd probably be where Sergio is right now. But Chris Froome started as a mountain biker as well. So remember, growing up in Kenya, if you read Chris Froome's books, you know, he was started off on the mountain bike over in Kenya. I think you've got to think as well. There's a big difference as well, isn't there, between cross riders racing on the road and road riders racing cross. You know, there is a massive difference, isn't there, in power, in the explosivity that you have as Eli Iserbyt goes through here, lap 5 of 9. So, yeah, I think Chris Froome himself would say, yeah, that wouldn't happen. But, yeah, I mean, you could see Lars Bohm with the way Lars Bohm's coming in and he's having to find his way back through these races. It's such a massive difference as well between the road and cross.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, trying to come into, as we have one of the team managers, it looks like down in the bottom corner here. Don't want to speak over them, but yeah, you can always take a cyclocross rider and put them into a road race because it's less technical, so to speak, and have them have some amount of success, as we've seen with a lot of the cross riders this year having success on the road. However, it's a little bit harder to ask a road rider to come over and have this skill set being so unique. You know what I mean?
It is indeed, and Andrew Vars just reminded me there's a great video of Brad Wiggins trying cyclocross and crashing. Can't remember. I think it was with La Française des Jeux back in the day with Francis Murray. That was a great video. James Marriott just asking you, Jeremy, any top tips for clipping back into the pedals after remounting when racing? You see riders all the time. You saw Pidcock just banging their shoes on the pedals.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I always tell people at the cyclocross camps and the different venues that I teach cyclocross at over the years is that, you know, that's like one of the things that you can get really, really good at. You can just go into your basement or out in your driveway, you know, and you could get on and off the bike 20, 30 times, you know, as like your right before I get into bed or right before I eat dinner or right after work, I decide that I want to get on and off the bike and make it second nature. You know, that's the most important thing, is that you're really, really comfortable. And you can find the cleat can find the pedal at ease without even having to think about it. It's just second nature. You just get right into the pedals. So that ability to be able to just find them without having to look down and do all that stuff. Looks like Pidcock is again having a little bit of problems just getting into the pedals today. Again, being his first cross race of the season, there's probably some kinks to work out, and you know, and he hasn't probably gotten on and off of his cross bike all that much so far this year because he's been focused so much on the road.
Your leader, Eli Iserbyt, wearing number 8 from Marlux Bingold. And what a great start to the season. Eli Iserbyt has had, if you were with us for Molenbeek last weekend, it was Michael Van Torenhout, who you saw went down on a pretty hefty fall. Looked like he clipped the back wheel of Tone Arts. Let's keep our children off the course if we can. Eli Iserbyt was second at 6 seconds. Tone Arts was third last week. Dan Suter, Lars van der Haar, Quentin Hermans, Corny van Kessel, Tom Meusen, Nicholas Klepper and Dieter Van Torenhout was your top 10 in that one. With the Ethias Cross as it is, if you weren't with us earlier, it doesn't carry a general classification. It is a group of races that all comes under the same banner. We've got Beringen on the 26th of October, Bredene on the 30th of December, Maldegem on the 5th of February, and Hulst on the 16th of February. That's the rest of the Ethias series. Quentin Hermans here, Tom Pidcock. For British fans, not far behind him. Just a few other shout-outs. So George Gould saying hi. Darren Scott saying let's get some cameras on the heads of the pit crew. Let's do that. Yeah, I totally agree. In that one, Klepper Arnouts is your next riders going through. T-Sarts on the front. Klepper wearing 16. Then you've got Meusen and Adams. Those are your next riders through. Michael Van Torenhout just trying to find his way back with David van der Poel.
Yeah. Marty, we got a question from Eric Moody, and he's asking, will it be worth it to use a little bit of tire sealant in the inner tube of a tubular? What do you think on that? In your cross racing, were you using sealant in your tubulars, Marty?
Not in my tubulars. No,
Okay.
it's an interesting one, isn't it? What's your thoughts on it?
I can say that we used a little bit of sealant back in the day. We used to race in Boulder, Colorado, and they have these things called goat heads, which are these thorny they're seemingly everywhere, but they grow off of like a type of grass. It's like a very low bush that's on the ground, and they have these little thorns all over them. I don't know that you have them in Europe, but they're here and they're in the more arid,
thorns.
like kind of. Okay, yeah, thorns, but these are these like lower. They're like grass. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, they're very, very sharp. If you get one in your foot, you'll cry. They're very sharp, and they'll pierce the tubulars. And so, the early races will pick them all up, and then all of the amateur riders have had hundreds of flats. So in order to kind of to get around that, so we could still ride our tubulars, we would put a bit of sealant inside the tires, but we would mark them, and we would have those kind of be like one set for that type of race, and then that's it. So generally, no. I mean, if you're in, sometimes also when we would go to Europe and we'd have a big problem like at a race course on the spot, then yeah, my mechanic, instead of having to glue a new tire right there on the spot, or try to, which is nearly impossible, you just put a little bit of sealant in it and hope that it seals up and gets you through the day. But generally speaking, once you flat a tubular, which is really hard to do, you replace it. You don't go with sealant. But you got to ball on a budget sometimes, Marty, and if you got to put a little sealant in your tubular, so be it.
Definitely. There you go. Good question. Thanks for all your thanks all of you for saying hi. Thanks for all your questions. Your podium at the moment is Ellie Isabit, Tone Arts. Then you've got Quentin Homers with Tom Pidcock, not far behind. Pidcock just back on the bike this week. This is the first cyclo-cross race that we've seen the British champion in. Not so for Ellie Isabit, a real big start to the season so far for Ellie Isabit. Coming through this time, and we'll get a clock on the Marlux Bingo rider, and big step up again. Going through to the elite level this year, so lap 6 of 9 for Isabit Arts. This is the moment normally, Jeremy, where we see Tone Arts start to do that little burn that he has. So when the Belgian, I was watching the Belgian Championships back, and it's 13 seconds. For Tone Arts, he's got that trademark real big acceleration as he tries to close gaps down very quickly. We saw him try to do it to Van Torenhout last week. Van Torenhout got wise to it and reacted.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah, I think it's yeah, I mean, we'll see how he has to change his tactics as we see Pidcock grabbing a little bit of water here. Sometimes the riders have to change their tactics once their competition understands how they race, right? They have to change things up just a little bit. So Aerts, I mean, I wouldn't say he's out of this race. Being down 10 seconds, one quick, one misstep on Easterbit's part, and Aerts is right back in this. And again, we know that Aerts comes on stronger at the end of the race. He was looking very, very sharp at the beginning. I'm not sure technically that Aerts is loving the way that this course is flowing, or the tire combination, or the amount of pressure that he has in his tires. Just seems like something is a little bit off on him today with how he's handling the bike in the course. And one other thing that I noticed here, Marty, is that it was when Pidcock came through, he had 33 minutes on the clock. And this race is looking like it's going to shape up to be one of the shorter ones at maybe 54 minutes for the winner. If you assume that they're going to continue to do these 7-minute lap times, and then they're coming through. It looks like this race is going to finish right around 54, 55 minutes for these front runners.
So Dieter Van Torenhout, Vinny Bastians goes through. Thomas Main looking like he's up here as well. Gurman goes through. Is that Thomas Main? It is Thomas Main for British fans as well at 1:43. So another young Brit well up there in this one, Thomas Main. No, he's got a big following as well. Ellie is a bit 13 seconds was the gap. And on these sections, you just be able to just stare straight into the face of your opponent. If you're just happening across our coverage today, welcome aboard. This is the Ethias Cross, the Polderscross, as it's known here in Kruibeke. And we are on the elite men's race. This is a 2.9 kilometer circuit. The history of this race, Tone Arts took the Belgian title here at the beginning of the year. Matthew van der Poel in 2017. Michael Van Torenhout has had a win. Wout van Aert in 2014 and 2015 as well. So, and then Kevin Eekholt back in 2014 as well. So just through little skips through here for Ellie Isabit. So that's the history of this race. And when you look back, you're trying to find the history of some of these races, Jeremy, as Isabit just hits the sand here. Cyclo-cross has just grown and grown and grown, even in Belgium over the last decade.
Yeah, it has. I think this is one of the newer series. The Ethias series is one of the newest ones. I've been talking to Erwin Vervecken for some upcoming work that we've been doing, and he's telling me that the organizers of the Ethias Cross are very, very motivated, and they have big plans for the future. So perhaps in the future, this will be a new ranked series for, with a UCI ranking attached to it. At the moment, this is just a collection of races that the riders have contracts to, so they can guarantee certain riders are coming, but there is no overall timing allowed because they're not an official UCI series. They're just a collection of races that are underneath. Probably a little confusing, but nonetheless, it is really it's still a great venue and a lot of great like-minded promoters that are out there pushing these races and getting the top talent to come out week in and week out.
So just a few of you as well, as Tom Pidcock goes through your pictures, just wondering what Tom's doing on the road next year. I think that's going to be announced quite soon, what he is doing as well. They're just asking where Cameron Mason is. We basically see what you see. So as soon as if we see Cameron, I've seen him going in the opposite direction, and we'll get an update. But we literally, all we get to see is what you see. Someone else asking, what's to stop something like the Super Prestige ever coming together? Phil Webber coming to the UK. Probably money. I don't imagine. I've never seen the Super Prestige. Well, the Super Prestige could come to somewhere like the UK. It's not a million miles away.
Yeah.
But
No, I think a while back when the first American World Cups were coming to coming over here, there was quite a bit of talk about at the time, the Gazette van Antwerp, the GVA, which is the big paper there in Belgium. That was the titles of that series at the time, the GVA, or the B Post, now called the DDB Trophy, coming over and having a race in the United States at one time. Also the Super Prestige. So they wanted to build the World Cups up and then have a round of each of these series and really do the first month of racing in the United States. I think now it seems like from what I hear out there is that there's more of a push towards keeping things and developing it in Belgium and making it easier to access, because since Sven Nys has retired, the spectatorship has gone down slightly. So they want to continue to promote in Belgium and really build these riders up and make it easy for the fans that they do have to stay connected to the sport.
Ellie Isabit's team manager. And just in the bottom of your picture, I think Galazzo as well, Galazzo Sports, who promote a lot of the racing. They actually promoted the British. They were part of the British National Championships last year, I think. So they have been over and organising a few things as well. Kim Chapman asking where Callum McLeod is. I haven't seen Callum either at the moment in this one. So yeah, as soon as we get there, if we get them at the finish, we'll do that. Your leader, so your run of the race at the moment, Ellie Isabit is your leader. Tone Arts was at 13 seconds when they went through the line on the last time. Quentin Hermans was at 30 seconds. Pidcock at 41. Then that group of T-Sarts, Jim Arnouts, Tom Meyerson went through with Klepper, Adams. Then came Van Torenhout, David van der Poel, then Siebens and Dieter van Torenhout were the next riders through. And Ellie Isabit is, you can see, just nearly 40 minutes of racing. So 7 laps of 9. So Isabit making light work now of these laps. He's lapping really well here.
Yeah, 7 minutes a lap. I think it was 13 seconds the last time I saw it. So we'll see. Yes, it's exactly 13 seconds still. So it's good for Tone Arts to see that he's holding this gap. Isabit's obviously been able to go a little bit up, and he's been able to take that time initially, but he's holding strong and staying there. Now we're seeing Quinten Hermans come through in 3rd place. So we've got the Telenet Fidea crew in 2nd and 3rd place. Been very interesting to see the Bingo Powell's team kind of coming together, and really they're actually dominating the season. If you look at it on paper against the Telenet crew, Telenet Balawaza, they've taken more victories than Sven Nys's team this season, Marty.
Yeah. It's a bit like we would see, it's a clash of the titans in terms of teams. Tom Pidcock from Trinity Racing goes through, still in 4th, and Pidcock here is at 1 minute and 4. He was at 41 seconds. So as Andrew McQuaid said a little bit earlier on, as he get towards the back end of this race, they thought Pidcock might just start to tire just a little bit. He's sitting in 4th. Arnouts and Michael Van Torenhout go through next. So Jim Arnouts, Michael Van Torenhout, and Jens Adams. So the 2 teammates are in here. So Klepper leading Meusen and Tissarts through. So it's been a fast race, minute and a half separating our top 10 in this one, but our leader Ethias Tonarts, as you said there, Jeremy, he just held it, just lost 1 second. He looked like he was doing that Tonarts kind of turn and burn little effort there, just starting to open it up a little bit.
Yep, and we're starting to see that this last 15 minutes of racing is when he likes to shine. And it looks like, I mean, it could be coming down a little bit as we see Iserbyt kind of doing, starting to look back now and on this 180 section. Be curious to see if this gap comes down slightly, and that would be maybe not a win for Toon Aerts today, but it would definitely give him a lot of momentum going into tomorrow's race and a lot of confidence that his form is coming on just the way he likes.
And just saying hi over on Twitter, Martin Smith, prepping for Southwest League. John Senior, just the pronunciation police, just running, it's Ava Lethner, but Ali Che Arzufi, she actually does call herself Alice as well. So sometimes we do anglify some names, and I know it's Alice, but sometimes she calls herself Alice Arzufi as well. If you watch some of her videos, she almost introduces herself sometimes as Alice Arzufi, but it is Alice. You do pronounce it that way. Thanks, John Senior. We do love the pronunciation police. We always say we do our best in terms of our pronunciations. We do try. We do as well.
So. I appreciate that. No, Alice, it's a fantastic name. What a cool name. She's become quite popular in Italy. I follow her on social media, and I've seen she's doing a lot down there, and really seems like she's well liked. So I'm happy to pronounce her name the correct way. Alice, ciao Alice.
Yeah, does a great job. So Quentin Hermans chasing hard here, staying on the podium again. Tom Pidcock had lost a little bit of time through that last lap. Let's have a look at Tonarts here. Again, just losing that front wheel. The front wheel just bobbling out there. And that's not what you want when you're chasing the lead, is it? Just losing, again, you're just losing that foot. You're just filling that shoe with sand as well as you try and get it back in.
Yeah, just keeping that weight on that rear end of the bike, just trying to drive it around like it's a little bit of a dirt bike, just keeping it moving. It's a master class in handling. Even when you have a problem, you just keep moving, just keep that momentum going forward. One of the questions that we've got here, Marty, is and you could probably ask this one: would a mountain bike have a chance of winning this course if there was an open category? Bob is asking that question. What do you think, mountain bike today against Eli Iserbyt?
Oh, do you know what? As someone I love I don't think it would. I think the cross courses here, yeah.
Maybe an e-mountain bike.
As a cross purist, maybe an e-mountain bike. I don't know, but no, I think cross bikes. We could put them. Maybe it's a race. Maybe you put a mountain bike round here against a cross bike sometime. I know it's a question that comes up all the time. I know some people that do happen across a cross race for the first time. You look at this and you go, that bike's not designed to do this. And I don't know about you, but you bump into people when you're out on your cross bike and they're like, you're brave riding that around here. And you go, well, that's what this bike's designed for. I go everywhere on my cross bike.
Yeah, I think that this would do better. Cyclo-cross bike would do better here. It's just the type of track. It's very narrow. It's got a lot of sharp turns. Getting a mountain bike back up to speed with those big 2.1 tires, as we see Hermans taking this slick off camber section, coming through very, very focused on this section, because I think this is one of those sections it's slick, but it's also fast, Marty. And when you hit the deck, even though it's grass, it's going to hurt if you're going really, really fast. So, yeah, I don't think the mountain bike, to tie that up, is going to have a lot of success on a course like this against riders, even if it had a motor. I think that'd be like having a Ferrari on in a downtown. There's nothing you can do with it.
No. Eli Iserbyt leading out here. There's some good questions as well. Motorways of Belgium. Other motorways are available. Just ask, it'd be interesting to see Iserbyt up against Mathieu van der Poel. Looking at Iserbyt so far, and I know it's the $1 million question. What's your thoughts looking at the way Ellie's going at the moment?
I think we'd all like to hope. I think we'd all like to hope. Van der Poel's level is just insane. I mean, I don't want to just do that as a throwaway because I do really want to see some great battles happening. But I have to say that Van der Poel has just shown himself, even against the best riders in the world on the road, that he just has another gear. And so it would be hard, I think, for anyone to compete. It's maybe a little bit it's a little bit tough for the riders to kind of line up against him with this idea that they're going to have success. So I'm not sure. I think at the beginning of the year, everyone will hope and expect that there can be a new blood, new battle to happen. But yeah, we're seeing that Eric's lost a little bit of time that lap, coming through about 19 seconds down on Eli Iserbyt.
So here's our leader. So 19 seconds now back from this man to your next place rider. And what a rider he is. 21 years old, 22nd of October. So he's nearly 22. Quentin Herman's going through your gap. So he's got a birthday coming up as Eli Iserbyt. But just when you look at some of his stats already, twice European champion, 4 times national champion. These are at different age groups, of course. He's had 13 super prestige victories. He's got 51 victories to his name so far as well. 12 World Cups again at the different levels. He's just something to behold. He was second in Ethias. He had those 2 victories over there in the US. You were there, Jeremy, and just his performance. And Helen Wyman touched on it last week as well when she was here. And it's something it was quite interesting to see. And she said, you look at Eli and you look at where he was at the end of last season and physically maturing in the kind of course of a summer.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you see. You see a rider that's still 20 to 21, 22, gaining, developing themselves, mentally, physically, emotionally. They're getting stronger. I was reading that Eli Iserbyt broke up with his longtime girlfriend. I hate to say it, but as someone that, really invests themselves, maybe that's freed up some bandwidth mentally. Maybe he was spending a lot of time, I'm being serious, maybe spending a lot of time like going out, doing things. Now he said, yeah, cool, that relationship's off. So now I'm focused completely on myself for the cross season, and I'm not going to be out and about. So I think it's just one of those things where you don't know exactly what's going on with each of these riders in, like personally inside and out, but I think the thing we can take away is that there's definitely an increased amount of focus. The dedication's always been there. He's been world champion. He's got that classic trademark like punchiness with the big gear. He's very, very strong for his size. He can push a massive gear, and the low cadence, the strength efforts that are needed for cyclocross, Eli Iserbyt checks that off without question every single time that I've seen him race.
Yeah, he's an absolute, as Bob Ferguson says over on YouTube, he's an absolute monster. Yeah, that's a really good description. Jeremy Duran just asking you, Jeremy, what Americans do you expect to make an impact in European races later this year?
That's a good question. What's up, Jeremy Duran? Nice to hear from you, my friend. Jeremy Duran, a rider here from the area that I live in now. So he's over in the UK with his wife, Gabby Duran, who used to be my old teammate. So hello to you both. Good to see you on the check-in. What riders do we expect? I mean, obviously, we'd love to see Curtis White. We'd love to see Stephen Hyde. In the under-23s, we'd like to see Gage Heck doing well, and maybe Spencer White, our current under-23 national champion. There are so many riders that are kind of waiting in the wings. They haven't made their way over to Europe yet, but I think all of us here, USA Cycling is taking a lot of steps right now with their development program to be able to bring up the level of American cyclocross riders, both on the women's side and on the men's side. So I think we're all really focused towards 2022, because Marty, as you might know, the World Championships are coming back to the United States. They're going to be in Arkansas, and there's a lot of we have a lot of, I think, just good feelings around cyclocross racing in the United States, and starting to just carry that momentum from those World Cups and from these international events that we've been able to host over the last few years.
Yeah, he certainly had a great road, Wales. I think there'll be a lot of people think, does Chloe Dygar-Owen ride cyclocross? Because she is an absolute phenomenon. We would love to see that. Tom Pidcock has been caught by this chasing group behind. His team manager did think that he might fade goes on. He's just got back onto the cross bike this week. Jens Adams is the rider behind him. Michael Van Torenhout and Jim Arnouts are right behind him. You just saw Arnouts just trying to correct himself as they went through there. So now the podium opens up, and now you've got T-Sarts with Nicholas Klepper right behind him. T-Sarts, so the younger brother of Tone Arts, who's riding second place here at the moment. So the order through here, so Isabit, Art, Hermans, then Pidcock, Adams, that group behind. And again, Tone, just compared to last year in terms of where he was coming into the season, Tone Arts again, it seems just a couple of percent just off where he was at the beginning of last year. But again, if you're playing that long game, if you're wanting to be on form for whether it's, you know, you feel that you're not going to take the win today, the Super Prestige tomorrow might be your season-long target. Sometime at the back end of a race with 2 to go, it is worth just taking your foot off the gas a little bit, isn't it? And just saving something that you think you might need tomorrow with the other riders that are coming in fresh.
Yeah, you don't know what happened this week. Maybe he took a large training volume week, so he's coming in a little bit tired to this weekend, trying to make another gap. As we see, maybe it looks like Lars Boom there on that other shot that we're catching as they pan across. But yeah, overall, it's one of those things. You know, I think you've got to. You got to pick your spots in the season, Marty. You can't be good all year long. Easterbeats come out flying. Ertz is just getting, I think, is probably in his mind saying, I've done the same prep. I've maybe his power meter is saying like, hey, you're 10% stronger, or excuse me, 10 watts stronger or 10 watts lower. It's hard to say, you know, as we see Easterbeat coming in for this last lap.
So Isabit goes through the line this time. So again, another phenomenal performance. So Isabit now is on his last lap. 1 lap to go here. And he'd been extending his advantage over second place Tone Arts of the Telenet Baloise Lions. I love this section. The way you come flying through there up this bank. It's great, isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah. I may have miscalculated the laps, although I swear I had it right. But they maybe have added a lap. Do you think so, Marty?
I'm not sure. You say we looked a little bit earlier on when they were trying to calculate things that it was looking a little bit short.
Yeah. So it looks like they're doing 9 laps now. Definitely good to see. So these guys are going to get the full hour of racing in today. And yeah, Easterby is just on a tear here. One thing that we were talking about a little earlier was Chloe Dygert Owen maybe potentially taking a cyclocross, although I don't think that's going to happen. One of the cool things that happened last weekend was that her husband, Logan Owen, who was many times, I believe 8 or 9 time national champion in cyclocross as a junior and as an under 23. I raced against him as well for the elite title a couple times. He's a fantastic competitor, a really good rider. Ooh, yeah, man, not sure what that rider was.
Yeah, I think was that Dieter Van Toren out there. Let's have a look here. So Arnouts clips the back there. There's Michael Van Toren out, just takes the evasive maneuver. So this is your next group. So Adams, Arnouts, Pidcock there, and Van Toren out. That looked like the sort of stature of Dieter Van Toren out there. It was Thomas Main that was on the front. So a lot of
having a great race, Thomas Main today.
Yeah, inside that top 20 at the moment.
Yeah. So I was going to just finish that off with Logan Owen racing in Arkansas last weekend and getting on the podium on the Sunday race. That is a rider, following up on that Jeremy Duran question about a rider from the United States that has the pedigree, has the engine, just finished up the Vuelta for the EF team, and is now starting to take a strong look at cyclocross at the national championships that are going to be held out in the Pacific Northwest, where he calls home this year in America. So I think he's got a little bit of motivation. I think he's thinking a little bit about the World Championships that are going to be in Arkansas. So that's exciting news for the American fans.
So Michael Van Toren out is the next rider. Pidcock, Adams, and Arnouts are the next riders going through. I think I'm just going to look down at my start sheet. I caught an 8 on the back of that rider that kind of spun out. I think it is Dieter Van Toren out that had that little issue in the Thomas Main group as well. A little shout out to Fiona Gow. She said, "Go Craig Gow." He's in there as well. I hope I've pronounced that right. So a relation. Love it when we get relations on our chat forums as well. But this man here through this one. When you look at Ethias a bit here, and you look at last week when he took that massive tumble, didn't he, on the planks last week, and it almost looked like it kind of knocked the stuffing out of him.
Yeah, you can't really, you can't. As a cyclocross rider, it's just about crashing. You crash and then you get back up as quick as you can. It's sometimes it can take a little wind out of your sails. We also saw Van der Haar have a problem last weekend, but he was able to recover and get back on the podium. For these riders, crashing is part of the gig. It's a prerequisite. You know it's going to happen. You don't know exactly when. You just know that it is.
Good question as well from Retney, just asking, are the planks, are they fixed or can they fall over? Trying to figure out how they judge it. Yep, they're fixed, aren't they? If you hit them, Jeremy, you go down and you go down pretty hard.
Yeah, for sure. You can, you can eat it. I have to correct myself. Logan Owen got 4th place last weekend, not 3rd place, but he was in the hunt for 3rd place. So I was, but I wanted to correct myself there. Someone just shot me a message and said he only got 4th. So I just wanted to make sure that, actually coming from our national champion, Stephen Hyde, sent me a text message to just remind me that Logan didn't quite get the podium yet. So that maybe means that he'll be hungry for some podium stuff coming up.
Yeah, Hyde, White, Gage Hecht. I know you've mentioned them. We're interested to see when they come over for their European block. They've got, again, everyone going up against this man, Ethias Kruibeke, definitely the man at the moment in terms of the start of the season. A few people as well asking over on the forum, and I know you know him. I don't know if you've had a chance to catch up. Is asking how Wout van Aert's recovery is going. Have you had any inside info, Jeremy?
I haven't. I shot him a message the other day. I haven't heard back from him yet, but I expect I'm going to be over there for the races in the Koppenberg and in Ruddervoorde. So excited for that, because that'll be the kickoff of the DVV series, and then I'm going to catch up at Ruddervoorde. So I'm hoping that I can swing through and say hello to him and just get a little bit of a check-in to see how he's doing and how he's recovering from his injury.
Yeah, it'd be good to see him. We wish him well in his recovery. Everyone getting ready, the pit crew, the support crew, can of Coca-Cola, a little red ambulance as we call it, and a protein shake as well for the riders afterwards. Recovery, super important when you've got a race tomorrow. Ethias a bit past the pits here, looking absolutely phenomenal today. You can see going through this section, there's the team manager. He'll be happy with the way the season is going so far. I am sure Ethias a bit comes over the top of the bridge. Dieter van Torenhout goes the other way on this one, but lining up now for the back end of this course. What a ride today by this man. He's looking phenomenal. Takes a glance back over the shoulder.
Yeah, you can just see the fans on the side just giving a little bit of a golf clap. They're all there to support and to show love to this rider today. He's been riding a phenomenal first half of the year. Eli Iservit is, not a stranger to cyclocross fans. The young rider, up and coming, is just on an absolute tear of form right now and just adding to his wins for the season, taking the win here at the Ethias Cross today.
Here he comes, Ethias a bit on to the finish straight now, zips up the jersey, the Pal Southern bingo rider, high fives to either side of the crowd. Another day, another victory for Ethias a bit. A phenomenal performance, another great ride, a really solid one. Gets congratulated by the team manager. Let's see where Toonarts is behind. He was the rider that was sitting in the second place, 59 minutes and counting. So coming in for Ethias a bit just under the hour. Here's Toonarts, your second place rider, the Belgian national champion from Telenet Baloise Lions. Quentin Hermans should be the next rider to finish. So followed all the way by the cameras, of course. So we'll see, we get to see the next riders coming in. There's the big mascot just alongside. So next spot on the podium, and it's going to be second and third for the Telenet Baloise Lions. Quentin Hermans, another solid ride for him, and then we should, Jeremy, have a bit of a sprint from that group behind.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who comes out of that group. What do you think, Marty? Who do you think is going to be the strongest from that going for 4th place?
Do you know what? I think if Tom Pidcock might fancy a bit of a rollout of that final corner. We'll see. We'll want to get as many points as he can. But Michael Van Toren out coming through here as he managed to find his way through. We saw him making that move, and it looks like Michael Van Toren out, and he has. He's got himself up there now. Michael Van Toren out took that tumble. He was in that leading group. He's going to take 4th. Then Jens Adams is going to be the next rider to finish.
Wat een indrukwekkende wedstrijd was dat opnieuw van jou.
Let's hear from Ethias.
Absoluut niet simpel. In het begin zaten we met heel veel man samen iets te veel naar mijn hoesting. En ja, ik heb dan maar zelf de schifting gemaakt. Jammer dat Michael viel, ik weet niet hoe dat gevallen is, maar anders waren we wel met 3 weg. En, ik wist als Michael er niet meer bij zat, moest ik gewoon vol rijden om Toon los te krijgen. En die spartelde nog heel hard tegen. En ik heb zeker diep moeten gaan vandaag.
Hij spartelde tegen, maar je rijdt wel hier opnieuw iedereen uit het wiel. Wat een formidabele seizoenstart. Had je dat eigenlijk zelf verwacht?
Nee, absoluut niet. Ik wist wel dat ik heel goed getraind had. En ja, het is altijd hetzelfde. Alles zit gewoon goed, kopje zit goed. En ik denk met die overwinning in Amerika heeft dat natuurlijk een boost. En ja, dat zorgt een beetje voor wat ik nu doe, denk ik.
Volgende week woensdag komt Mathieu van der Poel terug. Dat is heel wat tegenstand erbij ineens. Durf jij ervan dromen om misschien met hem ook wel daar het vuur aan de schenen te leggen en misschien wel ook een overwinning mee te graaien?
Ik denk als Mathieu meedoet dat hij in het begin direct heel rap gaat. Dan zal het niet meer aan mij of aan Toon zijn om tempo te maken. En ik denk dat misschien aanklampen net iets beter lukt dan zelf wegrijden. Maar ik hoop dat ik misschien even mee kan, maar ik denk dat Mathieu wel weer top zal zijn.
Een dikke proficiat in ieder geval met vandaag Eli Iserbiet. We gaan meteen door naar nummer 2 van vandaag, Toon Aerts. Toon nog nahijgend. Dan word je gebombardeerd tot grote topfavoriet en dan stuit je elke keer op die Dekselse Eli Iserbiet. Hoe frustrerend is dat?
Voor mij valt dat best mee. Misschien dat dat voor mijn supporters wel frustrerend is. Of voor jullie, de pers, die zeggen dat ik topfavoriet ben. Ik denk dat het wel duidelijk is dat momenteel Eli heel sterk rondrijdt. En dat er vandaag voor mij niks aan te doen was. Dat hij gewoon sterker was.
Ja, wist jij meteen, oké, ik ga hier vandaag voor de 2e plaats?
Ik heb wel geprobeerd natuurlijk van te winnen, maar er werd meteen van in het begin van de wedstrijd zeer hard gekoerst. Ik denk dat de eerste 3 rondes echt uitzonderlijk snel werd gereden. Daarna gebeurde er iets met Michael, ik weet niet wat juist, maar ik voelde ineens iets in mijn koffer komen langs achter en toen zag ik hem vallen. En dan was het tussen ons 2 en toen werd er zo snel gereden dat het al snel duidelijk was dat Eli beter was.
Goed, een 2e plaats, al bij al geen overwinning. Hoe evalueer jij je seizoenstart tot nu toe?
Sorry, zeg eens.
Hoe evalueer jij je seizoenstart tot nu toe? Nog geen overwinning, maar wel verdienstelijk en altijd op het podium?
Ik denk dat het duidelijk is dat meestal dezelfde renners winnen. Vooral Eli steekt er echt wel bovenuit. Daarachter reken ik mij toch wel samen met Michael en Laurens denk ik tot 3 andere renners die eventueel eens een keer kunnen gaan winnen. Maar als Eli niet gaat stilvallen de komende weken kan hij misschien nog wel een tijdje verder. Maar het 2e plaats daarachter is dan ook wel mooi.
Okay, perfect, dankjewel Toon Aerts. Dan gaan we door naar nummer 3 van vandaag. Die zit hier achter ons, dat is Quinten Hermans. Quinten, 3e plaats, een zware wedstrijd. Hoe evalueer jij je koers?
Ja, gewoon goed. Ik kwam tekort als die mannen doortrokken eigenlijk. En dat was eigenlijk het podium wel weg, denk ik. Maar Michael niet een foutje en ja, dat is ook cross.
Het is cross, ja, net niet goed genoeg. Opnieuw niet goed genoeg. Het is frustrerend denk ik ook voor jou, of niet?
Ja, weet je, voor mij is het niet super frustrerend. Want ik heb gewoon mijn best gedaan vandaag ook. En ja, Eli en Toon en Michael die reden van mij weg. Ik kon op dat moment ook niet reageren, dus dan heb ik mijn tempo gezocht. En dan vind ik het best goed dat ik even zo op die 10, 15 seconden kon blijven hangen. En daarna moest ik het ook wel een beetje laten lopen natuurlijk, want ik trapte ook wel op mijn adem. Maar ja, natuurlijk kwam met de ploeg net iets te kort weer voor die overwinning. Maar ik denk niet dat dat echt aan ons ligt. We doen ons uiterste best en momenteel zijn ze gewoon sterker, dus daar kunnen we niet aan doen.
Daar kan je niets aan doen, in ieder geval toch proficiat Quinten Hermans.
So there you have it. Those are your top 3. This is unofficial, but this is how I have things at the moment. So Iserbiet, Arts and Hermans. Then we had Michael Van Toren out fourth, Jens Adams, Jim Arnouts, Tom Pidcock, T. Sarts, Nicholas Kleppe, Tom Meyerson in 10th, and Thomas Main, Vinny Bastians, and Siebens came in 13th. So for me, that could be a good one today. Thomas Main, I think, again, unofficial, don't quote me on that. It's just as the camera was showing us as they came across the line. That would be a good one. Let's hear Michael Van Torenhout.
Ja, ik denk dat ik wou net een demarrage plaatsen eigenlijk. En toen denk ik een verkeerde inschatting en kwam eigenlijk te kort op het wiel van toen. En alles gebeurt zo snel en nog een paar seconden later lag ik tegen de grond. Dus dat was pech. Ja.
Was het op dat moment meteen game over?
Het eerste moment had ik wel veel last van de schouder eigenlijk, omdat ik toch recht op de schouder viel. Maar dan probeerde zo snel mogelijk weer die fiets op te nemen en toch weer het beste van te maken. En uiteindelijk was dat nog een 4e plaats.
4e plaats, maar wel opnieuw winst voor jullie. Ja, die doen het uitstekend en een fantastische Eli Iserbiet wederom.
Ja, ik hoorde het, kon zelf ook een beetje meevallen in de micro. Dus ik denk dat Eli vandaag weer de sterkste was. En je bleef mij toch wel een beetje verbazen week na week. En voor ons is het goed, blijven in de ploeg. En ik denk dat toch wel goed maakt dat wij in de ploeg al die overwinningen hebben. En blijft maar duren. En ooit komt er wel een einde, maar voor mij mag het blijven duren.
Goed, dankjewel. Michael van Torenhout.
So as he said, just clip the back wheel there of Tone Arts. But again, Jeremy, you've got to chase back all the time. That 4th place, you saw him get that frustration, and after that frustration, made sure he's all right. Just gradually rode his way through the field back up to 4th. These points are so important. The UCI points.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, the UCI points, I think just generally pride, he's out there racing hard, he wants to do well. And then, he just had a bit of he was going, it looked like now that we saw the replay, as we see here, the start, but as we saw the replay of Michael Van Torenhout eating it, it was that he was going all out and he hit that post, it looked like.
I got to say as well, early on in this one, the bunch, the big group that we've got here, again, you almost would. I'd love to see that going on a little bit further. If that group could have stayed together just a tiny bit longer. I think I love the early bunch racing, and there's Michael going down there.
Yeah, that Michael Van Torenhout crash, and then you see that group of 3 became 2, and I think both of them, Iserbiet laying down some attack, Aerts not able to respond about halfway through the race. It was about 30 minutes in, and then Iserbiet put a clinic on for the rest of the race. Aerts held him at about 13 seconds for the remainder of the race, only really losing a little bit of time in that last 10 minutes. So we'll be curious to see how that goes. This is your 3rd place rider, which was Quinten Hermans. Hermans made a good kind of solo effort there after all the melee of the crashes and stuff like that. And then we got Eli Iserbiet taking the win. Probably, I'm guessing on this, but potentially his 5th.
They've taken that one away, nice and quick from that one. There's your top 10. No, I wasn't far away with my predictions. Love it when they do that in like 2 seconds. Gonna get that one up. Hey, quickly do it. Top 10. I can speak quick, but sometimes not quite that speed. Don't forget as well, don't forget to like, share and follow if you're on Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that important bell icon, which you can find. And that just means on YouTube that you'll get notified every time that we go live or upload a new video. And then on Facebook as well, you'll also get notified when we go live, and you'll be able to see all of that. Because don't forget, we are here tomorrow. The Super Prestige. It's a big weekend. We kind of, it's that sort of shadow that kind of looms over everything, isn't it? Because kind of you take the World Cups, don't you, Jeremy? And then Super Prestige and DVV kind of sit just kind of around there.
Those are the big ones, and tomorrow is the first one. After that, this one starts up. It's the middle of October, so we'll get that one. But then after that, we've got the DVV kicking off at the Koppenberg. So we'll be bringing it to you guys live and direct tomorrow. I believe is worldwide. So we'll be out there talking to everybody, bringing the Super Prestige to you for free. So please do share it, tell your friends, check in, have coffee with us in the morning if you're here on this side of the ocean, and if you're over there, well, even better.
Yeah, it's kind of lunchtime here for us. So yeah,
afternoon tea.
Yeah, afternoon tea, as we do. Yes, we'll have a little afternoon tea. I'll go and have some of that. Jeremy? What can we take away from that today? Ethias a bit continuing what is a good season, but for a lot, you would say for Tom Pidcock, just exactly what Andrew McQuaid, his team manager, said. He's a knowledgeable guy. Is Andrew? They thought he'd fade as that race went on.
Yeah, like I said, it looked like he was he was fighting with his pedals a little bit. Overall, you've just got a lot. There's a lot of cyclocross. The season is going on right now. There's so much stuff that's happening. We're really just getting underway. The riders in Europe really don't even consider the start of the season to be until like right now. So those preseason, those American races are truly like they're preseason for these riders. They're not even the prime time. This is prime time. So the riders that are just getting going, Pidcock, these other riders, there's so much racing to go on for the season. There's so many great events coming up. Really, the thick of the cyclocross season is just getting started.
How much of a difference does it make as well when you try, as we're seeing Tom Pidcock do? We're going to see Mathieu van der Poel do. We're seeing Lars Bohm do. What difference does it make to you, the physical feelings when you come off a tough road season, you have a bit of a break, and then you build into your cross season?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about periodization. Every time you're doing cyclocross or you're doing road, you have to have an ebb and a flow, right? It's like anything. You have to go hard, you have to train some, and then you have to recover from that and take rest to get to another level. And so over the course of a career, it's like building a wall. You put one set of bricks, and then you lay another set of bricks, and then you lay another set of bricks. And so that's how you become, I would say, like a more mature rider, is all of those years of big racing seasons, long miles, road training, cyclocross, off-road training. So yeah, you have to a lot of time in the game is how you get good at this sport. It's unlike any other sport, but cycling seems to really benefit longevity. You can do it for a really long time. It's different than other sports. You can cycle for your entire life, where as a runner or a tennis player or something like that, it's so hard on your body, and the careers are, I wouldn't say they're shorter or longer necessarily, but just that you can enjoy what you put into cycling later in your life because of all that energy that goes into those big long rides and stuff that happens over the years.
Yeah, just with you, we had a lot of chatting as well. Again, thanks to you all as well for all your chat on the YouTube forum and on the Facebook forum as well, and for your tweets as well. A lot of chat about running today. Sub 2 hour marathon someone's done today. I'm surprised they didn't just disintegrate. That's some serious human speed, that one, the sub 2 hour marathon. Yeah. But it does as well. It's running forms such a big part of cyclocross. We're on to the podium now. Tone Arts is up there. Here's this man, your man of the day, your man of the moment, you would say at the moment. On to the podium for Ethias a bit. Another great victory, another popular one as well. So there you have it. Ethias beat Tone Arts, and Quentin Hermans is your top three. So Paul Sausen, Bingo, and the Telenet Bauwars Lions rounding out your podium on what has been a great day's racing today. What can they do tomorrow? We're into the sand tomorrow, Jeremy. It's a bit of a different one, isn't it, tomorrow?
It is, yeah. Tomorrow's going to be a sandy. It's going to be a sandy affair. It's going to be different than today, but yeah, like I said, the big story there is that it's the kickoff of the Super Prestige Series, and that one of the things that's going to be really exciting about that is the prize money that's been equal for men and women. So I believe it's somewhere in the range of 30,000 euros for each of the riders to win that series overall. So you bet your hat that there's going to be some riders focused on tomorrow's race in a way that they haven't been focused for the other part of the season.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that news this week, both Super Prestige and DVV Trophy equalising that prize money, which is great. Just the World Cups to play catch-up now. For Ethias though, looking at how he's going now, it's about now trying to hold, would you say now, hold that form? He's going to have that natural tail off, isn't he? And you've got to, is there that risk sometimes when you come into a season on this much form of trying to hold that form maybe a little bit longer than you might naturally think, right, I'm going to tail off, I'm going to build back up again, and it sort of can lead to a little fatigue later on in the season?
Yeah, he'll have coaches. He'll have people giving them their advice. He'll look at his other years of training, that he's done and see what worked and what didn't work. All of those things are going to play into how they structure their season. And I think that they've got a lot of staff on that program, but those two teams merging, they've got a lot of people, a lot of staff to be able to look at that. Ethias Kruibeke coming from that original squad that kind of absorbed the other team. I think he probably feels pretty comfortable with his trajectory and the kind of all the decisions that he's made to get himself to this place now. He's obviously done pretty well. He could stop next weekend and call his season a success already.
Yeah, well, what we're going to say, but just before we go as well, we want your videos. So you can go to gcn.eu/uploads. We want to hear from you. Super Sid and John are going to put together a little montage. We don't just want your crashes and your epic fails. We want to share in your success, whether you're taking Jeremy's bunny hop videos or you're bunny hopping upstairs or you're riding the sand. We want to share your successes so you can upload your video clips, and we're going to try and pull them together and we'll play them out at the end of a show. But Jeremy and myself will be back tomorrow. Jeremy, just before we go, another great day's racing. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Are you?
Same, Marty. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's been a pleasure out here. I'm really excited for tomorrow and all of the racing that's coming up here on GCN.
Yeah, so remember, like, share and follow on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. We will see you tomorrow. From Jeremy Powers and myself, Marty McDonald. It's bye for now.